day here at Grove Stadium, Winston-Salem. Mike Tirico, Tim Brandt, Susie Schuster joins us in a second. From off the radar to big impact and back of the picture. That's what happened to Miami with their great win at Virginia Tech last week, Tim. The defense showing why they controlled that game, and they've been in control almost all season.
Well, Miami's defense has speed, it has depth, it's got experience, and they play with bad intentions. I mean, everything that you want. If you look at these numbers, that's the #1 defense in the entire nation. #1 in pass defense, pass efficiency defense. And look at these numbers, you see where they rank nationally. They get after things, and they contain. They've got great linebackers. The pass defense will shut you out man-to-man. This is one of those defenses. The one thing they don't have is a shutout, and they are looking for that today against Wake Forest.
Senior day, as we mentioned, statistically, one of the top running backs in ACC history wraps up his career. Chris Barclay has done a great job, and he has to have a good game if Wake's going to do anything today.
Well, he will be the focal point of that defense that we just talked about. Wake Forest asked him to do a lot, and he responds, and he has throughout his entire career. He needs 73 yards to go over 4,000 for his career, and this is a guy that can run between the tackles. They like to get him outside as well. They run that option attack, which could give Miami some problems early on, but I don't think so. But this is a kid that really is a talented back.
Miami won the toss, deferred the option in the second half, so Wake will receive this opening kickoff. I'll be very honest with you. The biggest thing Miami has to deal with is atmosphere. For as unbelievable as the atmosphere was in Blacksburg for the Virginia Tech game, it is very quiet here. It is the complete opposite. Barclay back, he's a good return man for the kickoff return. As Brian Monroe, the punter, is set to kick it. Haynes, Demon Deacons underway here in Winston-Salem, and it goes out of bounds. It will be Wake Forest ball at its own 20. On this beautiful afternoon, let's meet the starting quarterback playing his final game for the Deacs.
Corey Randolph, senior from Lake City, Florida, Columbia High School. I hold the highest completion percentage in Wake Forest history.
Yep, that's within a single season, 67%. He had a sprained knee ligament against Georgia Tech and a high ankle sprain, so his production has been limited. As a matter of fact, he was limited in practice during the week. We'll have to watch very closely to see how at full speed Randolph is here this afternoon. Two tight ends. First snap from the 20. Barclay gets about a yard. Miami knows, if we know, that this is the guy who makes their offense go. Let's take a peek at our press tour starting lineups. There is Barclay, as Tim mentioned. Fabulous career, wrapping up 1,022 yards this year with Selman McWhite, and you saw the receiver there in Nate Morton. Greg Atkins, the left tackle, is the best of the bunch. It's senior day, so that senior gets the call with Jones, Justice, Brim, and Vallis up front. Officially gain of 1, 2nd and 9. And out of the gun, it is a gift to Barclay. He'll take it just shy of the 25-yard line. This Miami defense, so good, as Tim talked about. Orion Harris made the tackle. He joins Thomas Carroll, Baraka Atkins up front, and Javon Nanton gets the start. Brian Potta back in Miami with a knee injury. Linebackers, John Beeson, Romeo Davis, Rocky McIntosh, emotional leader of this crew as well. In the secondary, Jennings with a little bit of an injury, but he's playing through it. Marcus Maxey joins him on the corner. Brandon Merriweather and Kenny Phillips, the only new starter to start the season. Former high school player of the year, has been terrific thus far. 3rd and 5, the running quarterback Randolph keeping, and he picks up the first down at the 33-yard line. Tim, you were here at practice Thursday. It was really the first day that the quarterback, Corey Randolph, was able to go anywhere near full speed this week.
All right, he's wearing a knee brace on that right knee, and he also has a banged-up ankle. But he played pretty well at practice Thursday night, and they were encouraged by the way he's moving. And you can see here the cuts aren't like Corey Randolph normally does. They aren't the quick, sharp cuts, but he made it work, and he moved the chains, got the first down. They'll nickel and dime you all day. This is the kind of offense they have. They want to keep it close to the 4th quarter if that's possible.
Knee injury, high ankle sprain, part of the reason that Randolph is limited in his abilities. Out of the gun, the inside handoff. Get a couple of yards with Barclay out to the 35-yard line. Kenny Phillips, the safety, 2nd straight tackle.
Talking to Jim Grove, the head coach at Wake Forest, he says, you know, we've had so many close games, we don't get blown out very often, and we want to get it down where we can try to steal a game or two. He knows he's a heavy underdog here today. He knows the guys in white jerseys have more talent than his guys in the black jerseys. But if he can get it close down into the 4th quarter, playing here at home, he feels, hey, we've got a chance to steal one.
5th year here, 6 years at Ohio University before that. One more ACC win. He'll tie Bill Dooley for the most in school history with just 14. Second down, first look at a pass. It is caught for a gain of about 3 yards. It's hauled in by the third-string tight end. McIntosh makes the tackle. Second-string tight end, John Terashinsky.
See, that's what Corey Randolph gives him, though. See him looking over to the sideline. He's telling him, I don't like that play. Give me this play. He steps up. He tells his receiver to run a little bit deeper. Terashinsky just a little bit shy there of where he probably wanted to be or should have been. He wanted him closer to those chains up by the 43-yard line.
John, the brother of Joe, who played at quarterback for Georgia in the game against Florida a couple of weeks ago in Jacksonville. So the sideline signals the play after they see the defense. You'll see Wake doing this a lot. Here they come on 3rd and 7. Randolph throws it to the right. Throw back to the left is open, and a nice gain for Zach Selman to the 28-yard line. So when Wake Forest succeeds, it is via misdirection. Selman does it there to the 2 to 36 yards. Brandon Merriweather, the safety, had to stop him before a touchdown.
This is going to be the receiver right up here. They're going to drag him across in here, but all the action's going to the right. Watch, zone blocking that way. They roll that way. They throw back underneath. So they went against the speed of Miami, letting the big, fast speed guys run themselves out of the play and then go against the grain and throw back against it. Nicely done. And
Terashinsky, Timmy, the other tight end, threw that nice block downfield to make it a huge game. They get it to Nate Morton. Receiver on the reverse is stopped. He'll lose a couple of yards. Brandon Merriweather on the tackle. Tim, they're playing a lot of 2 wide receivers. Why is Wake doing that, and can they be effective doing it?
Well, what Wake wants to do is that you'll see them use a lot of tight ends, too, because they don't want to spread this defense out. They want to keep everybody in the box. They think that they can option them. And when you do that, Mike, it's assignment defense. And they're going to have the linebacker, the defensive end, and the safety and the corner all committed to a certain individual. You do that, you're breaking it down from 11-on-11 football to 3-on-3.
1 back, 2 tight ends, 2 receivers. After the loss of 3, Barclay on 2nd and 13 gets stuffed and sends it back the other way. Romeo Davis came in. He and McIntosh, the linebackers, got on the other side of the line of scrimmage. We're 3rd and even longer now.
You know, when you have a team like Wake Forest that's looking for its first win over a top 5 team since the 1940s, I mean, you want to get these guys, give them that checkup from the neck up, tell them that they're able to do it, number 1. Number 2, you want them to execute, so you don't want to complicate it too much. Just do what they do well.
No huddle out of the gun. Once again, they look back and get the play called in from the sideline. They come out, it's almost like making Miami declare what they're going to do defensively and then make the play adjustment. 3rd and 14, that's Terashinsky in motion. The tight end coming back at you. He's one of the 3 receiving options as Randolph screens it to Barclay. Could not make the man miss. Rocky McIntosh in the open field. The ball came out, but after Barclay was down, took a 4th down and 18 from the 36.
You know, you could hear the crowd get excited because it looked like the play was set up perfectly. And it was for just that instant. But then you've got McIntosh, number 50, who's got such speed, gets off a block, and then watch him run. Gets off another block, and comes up and just explodes and destroys the screen pass.
After losses of 3, 1, and 3, Wake Forest will try the long field goal, 52 yards. Sam Swank hit a 51-yarder, the only points of the game at Nebraska. They knocked it back 1 more, so let's make it a 52-yard field goal attempt for the redshirt freshman. They have enough leg. Wow. It's good.
That's his longest of the year, Mike. What a kick, and it could have gone another 10.
This is a very good special teams unit, and Sam Swank has now made 11 in a row, a school record and his career long of 52 yards. What Wake need to start the game. Have it for 5 3/4 minutes and cap it off with a 52-yard field goal. The offense for the number 4 team of the nation on the field next. Everything Wake Forest needed to get started here, leading 3-0 against number 4 in the BCS, number 3 in one of the polls, the Miami Hurricanes. The field goal by Swank out of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, is the 3rd longest in Wake Forest history and is 2nd over 50 this year. Devin Hester is not here, the big return man from Miami, back in South Florida. So Akeem Jala will go back for the kickoff in Hester's spot. Darnell Jenkins is there as well. deep pickoff by Swank. Not returnable for Jacobs. Everything's gone well for Wake. Miami now set to take the field with its young quarterback.
Hi, I'm Kyle Wright from Danville, California, home of the league champ Monte Vista Mustangs.
See, the guys before they can get on Monday Night Football and say I'm from the U, they got to do something different. It's taught at my, no, I'm joking, right? He's done a really nice job. Former high school National Player of the Year, sat behind Brock Berlin last year, redshirted the year before that. So he's been around the program and really, as the season has gone on, done everything right. Of course, he doesn't have Tyrone Moss behind him. Charlie Jones is the running back. And Jones takes it for a gain of about 6 yards. The sophomore out of Homestead, South Dade High School, is in there for Tyrone Moss with Quatrin Hill, Ryan Moore, and Sonaris Moss, the receivers, and the excellent tight end in Greg Olson. The guys up front, Eric Winston, as healthy as he's been the last couple of years and as good as well. The leader of this team with McMeans, Wolfschlager, Tella, and Rashad Butler, the senior right tackle, who also is opening a lot of eyes with his play. Gain of 6, 2nd and 4. And Wright's first toss to Sonaris Moss. Out of bounds, gain of a couple. Josh Gaddis takes him out there the other way. Now, let's look at the Crestor starting line for Wake on defense. Matt Robinson has 5 sacks with Stukes, Scales, and Andrews across the front. Young group here. Look at these guys. A couple redshirt freshmen and sophomore with Aaron Curry, Abadi, and Arnaud. In the secondary, Alfonso Smith. Freshman did a nice job against Georgia Tech's Calvin Johnson. He joins Swanson on the corner. G and Gaddis are the safeties. Josh Gaddis has 5 INTs, 2nd in the country on the season.
You see Smith down the bottom of your screen. Looks like he's coming on the blitz. Now backs out.
3rd and 3 throws complete for the first down to Darnell Jenkins, who slipped and fell at the 36-yard line. A gain of 9 on the play. Well, Tim, when we saw this offense at the start of the season, they struggled mightily against Florida State. Since then, Larry Coker's crew is progressing forward almost every week.
Yeah, and Kyle Wright, who started that game, got better in the second half. And he's been getting better every game. And he's taken a couple steps backwards, the 3 picks against North Carolina, but you can see him get more confident and more efficient every game.
1st and 10, play action for Wright. Trying the deep ball with Ryan Moore. Holds it in at the 22-yard line. A pickup of 41. Riley Swanson, the corner on the coverage.
And Moore just out Ryan Swanson. He had good coverage. He just didn't have the same athletic skills. You see the matchup. First of all, the time that he had. The play action, he's got time, he sets up, and there's nothing fancy about it. It's just a quick, long post pattern. And Moore just outruns Swanson. The pass was perfectly thrown. He lays out and makes the catches. There's nothing Swanson can do.
They play a lot of man coverage at Wake Forest and put the extra guy in the box to stop the run. So the receivers, if everything's on, could have a very big day. Jones cuts it back, eludes a couple of tackles, finally brought down at the 19-yard line by Abadi. John Abadi is the 2nd leading tackler. I'll mention all ACC last year. That nose all taped up. Look at him.
That thing, we were looking at it yesterday. Even Jim Grove went up and rubbed it and said, that's some nose right there. But Sykes missed the tackle. Abadi doesn't make that tackle on the cutback, and he's going for a touchdown. Pretty good numbers. He's been the National Defensive Player of the Week. He's on the watch list for the Bronco Wisborski Award.
Miami's going to bring King Jala in the game. He's up at the top. Sonaris Moss joins him over there. A couple of receivers. And Jones behind the lead block to the 15 and more. Charlie Jones inside the 5. 1st and goal for the Canes at the 2. Tony Tella, the right guard, led the way. And then Jones did it for 18 yards afterwards.
Brought Smith on the backside blitz. You see number 11 right there, but then he doesn't chase him down. He stops. Then there's 2 missed tackles. And then the the touchdown-saving tackle. But that is poor tackling by Wake Forest all the way down to the goal line.
There's Tella just shutting down our guy Abadi there. That big opening for Charlie.
And Charlie Jones showing a lot of strength breaking those tackles in his first career start.
And he gets the chance. Cutting it back toward the middle, and he stopped shy of the goal line. We'll have 2nd down coming up.
And Abadi once again at the bottom of the pileup. Watch the push of the black jerseys, establishing a new line of scrimmage, then the linebackers fill, and right in the bottom of all that is a body. 5'11", 245 pounds, plays hard every play.
All packed in there tight. See if the Canes just power it and go for a tight end. Jones, Trophy, pounding into the end zone. Miami touchdown. So Miami, in about 3.5 minutes, answers the Wake Forest field goal with Jones' second rushing touchdown in as many games.
With Tyrone Moss out for the year, Jones stepped in last week, really played well, comes in here in his first start today, and that's an impressive first drive. You see, breaks the tackle of a body and 2 others. That's just strength. 203 pounds. He plays bigger than that.
John Petty on for the extra point. The junior kicker bangs it through, and the Canes are on top by 4. 8 plays and 80 yards. Wright hit all 3 of his passes. The big one, 42 yards to Ryan Moore. Most of the rest done by Charlie Jones. 6 minutes left in the first. It's the Canes by 4. College football on ABC Sports, brought to you from Winston-Salem by Chrysler. Inspiration comes standard. Allstate, a proud sponsor of the Bowl Championship Series. Singular, raising the bar. And Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, one taste, and you get it. One of the most beautiful campuses in America, Wake Forest University. The Demon Deacons find themselves down 7-3 after the Charlie Jones touchdown run. 8 plays, 80 yards, 3 minutes, 13 seconds. That are drive insurance from Progressive drive summary as the Canes get on the board.
A little bit unusual there, going over 3 minutes in a drive, because their drives, more than half of them this year, have eaten up less than 2 minutes on the clock. It's a quick strike offense.
Monroe kicks it off. Barclay, a very good return man, takes it from the 6 and on the run. Chris, as the Canes swarm him, and he's brought down at 24. Willie Williams, part of the tackle team for Miami. And so Corey Randolph and Wake Forest, they've got a nice field goal drive to start. We'll see what they do from their own 24 when you come back. Miami leads 7-3. Barclay on the first down run gains a yard, so we'll have 2nd and 9 as this Wake Forest drive starts from the 24. Wake Forest 4-6. They are finishing their season here this week. This game, by the way, was supposed to be played on Thursday night coming. However, when Hurricane Wilma came through South Florida, they had to do some moving of the schedule, so the Georgia Tech game was moved down to next Saturday, and this game, originally a bye week, was moved up to here. We'd like to welcome the rest of you who've been watching the wrap-up of that Oklahoma-Texas A&M game. We're in Winston-Salem with Susie Schuster and Tim Brandt. Mike Tirico, the opening drive for each team, resulting in points. Wake Forest got it first, kicked a field goal to make it 3-0 on this very nice day in Winston-Salem at Grove Stadium. And Miami answered back with an 8-play, 80-yard drive, capped off by a Charlie Jones touchdown. No flag there, they just respot the ball. It's 2nd and 8 for Wake. Pass is hauled in traffic by Chris Davis. Couldn't make a man miss. He's thrown out of bounds by the freshman Kenny Phillips. Over at the 31, 3rd and 4 coming up.
Kelly Jennings ran it right from the snap. As a matter of fact, he thought he had the interception, but overran the play. Good read, good reaction, bad result. Watch this. He'll come up quickly because he knows it's play action. He sees it set up. He sees the flanker screen, but 22 overruns the play. Good thing the safety came over, because if Phillips doesn't get there, number 1, that's going for a big gainer.
3rd and 3 here for Wake. Randolph to throw. Sliding out and catching it for the first down is Zach Selman at the 36-yard line. So Wake has kept itself in 3rd and reasonable, and they picked up a couple of first downs here.
Boy, using their tight ends very well. Zach Selman's made a couple of big catches already here in the first quarter. He stays in the block, and 84 just releases and slides out. When he does that, McIntosh has a tough time catching up with him. Zach Selman, the son of Dewey and the nephew of the great Leroy Selman, both of Oklahoma. Both terrific players.
By the way, Oklahoma won that game. Those of you who came to us for the start, they beat Texas A&M 36-30. The final score there. A lot of hopes for A&M coming into this season. But they continue to slide. Cannot get that 6th win yet. 1st and 10 and back to Barclay. Take just shy of the 40-yard line. John Beeson made the tackle. And Jim Grove, the head coach of Wake Forest, talks about this running back playing his final game today.
Well, I think that he's a neat kid. You know, he's a really good person. He's one of those guys that makes you feel good just to be around him. So we're going to miss Chris Barkley because he's a great player, but we'll miss him more because he's a great kid.
6 carries so far for 12 yards. If he gets 73 yards, he'll leave with 4,000 in his Wake Forest career. Fullback carry, Richard Belton goes forward. He's a couple of yards shy of the 1st down. Tim, the first 2 downs are so important for Barclay and Randolph in this Wake offense because they're not going to make a heck of a lot of 3rd and 15s, are they?
No, everything happens between the tight ends. They run 2 tights. They figure they don't have the personnel to try to spread you out and beat you that way, so they're almost telegraphing, we're going in this area. But they'll do it with the orbit sweep. Then when that gets tied up, they'll come back and they'll hit you in the middle and shorten the game against teams with more talent and depth, and it works.
That's how this system has made Wake Forest a very tough out in the ACC on a week-in, week-out basis. 3rd down, Barclay, nice cutback. He has the 1st down, it appears. Let's check the mark here. He needs to get past the 46. They're going to put him 46.5-yard line. So Merriweather's tackle a half-yard too late. Wake will have a 1st down here.
Mike, you know when you ask the NFL scouts about Barkley, they love everything about him except his size, 5'10", 180. And he doesn't get a lot of receptions in this offense, but he can catch the football. But what he did right there, you can't teach. It was zone blocking. He was very, very patient, waited for the crease, slid up into the crease, and got the 1st down.
And they keep making them on 3rd down. They've had 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, and they pick those up. They're 4 or 5, as a matter of fact, 3rd down conversions. Keeping that Miami offense on the sideline. Barclay bounces it to the outside. And he'll get 3 yards to the 49. And let's get updated on the Longhorns with John Saunders in New York. Hello, John.
And hello to you, Mike, with the Taco Bell update. Texas, Vince Young looking for a Heisman, looking for a national championship, looking for Lima Swede, 45 yards. Picture-perfect toss. They've added another 14-0. They've jumped in front of Kansas in a hurry. Mike, back to you.
Thanks, John. Kansas pushed them last year in Lawrence. The phantom pass interference that Mark Mangino upset. Be very careful because Texas is out for a big number today. 2nd and 7. Barclay again dancing. He's going to be a couple of yards shy. And they're doing a very good job, Tim. They've got to be so happy because they're getting in 3rd and short all day so far.
Well, again, Mike, they're breaking it down from an 11-on-11 game to short side, and it's like 3-on-3, 4-on-4, and they set up another 3rd and short. But watch the way that he dances once he gets to the line. Makes Phillips miss and slides up. There's Merriweather. I mean, he does a nice job of getting upfield, and when he does dance, he's not going side to side. He's just pausing for a second and then exploding when he sees the crease.
Damon McWhite, the fullback, trying to lead the way here on 3rd and 2. Barclay's 10th carry of the game. He's not going to get the 1st down. And he stopped shy of the line of scrimmage. Again, Kenny Phillips, at least his 3rd tackle in the 1st quarter. And Wake's going to have 4th and about, I don't know, 2.5. Let's see what they do.
Now, ordinarily, this would be in the 4-down area, and you say, okay, let's take a shot at it. It's early in the ball game. But Wake Forest coming in, Jim Grove said, we're going to play field position. Klackemeier's going to be my guy. It's like in golf. You know, your course management, he's trying to manage the game. He's got a great punter in Klackemeyer. He's going to try to put this thing out of bounds and pin him back and get some field position out of this.
A great kicker. That 47.4 is 2nd in the nation. His career average is 45.3. Will likely be the best ever for a college football punter when all is said and done. Unable to get the ball to down inside the 5, so this will be a 46-yard, net 26-yard punt by the senior Klackemeyer. Miami takes over after this. All right, back here in Winston-Salem, Miami leading Wake Forest by the score of 7-3. Of course, Miami coming off the fabulous game last week when they won at previously undefeated Virginia Tech 27-7. Here is a reverse. Well read by Wake Forest to try to slow down Darnell Jenkins, and he'll take it out to the 22-yard line. Just a gain of a couple of yards. Brian Andrews, defensive end, makes the tackle. A disciplined job by the Wake Forest defense to stay at home. very quiet. If you were here and had the chance to read a book, you would not be disturbed by the crowd noise.
Very cozy place to play.
It's a beautiful place to play. The people in Winston-Salem need to get their butts out here and support this program. Flag comes in, perhaps for a hold, as the running back Charlie Jones is brought down after a gain of a couple of yards.
You know, Wake Forest holds the time of possession like 5:04. But again, we'll tell you that's misleading, especially with Miami, because it's a quick strike offense, and more than half of their 25 touchdowns this year have been 2 minutes or less.
But wouldn't that be part of the equation that Wake has to have to stay in this game?
Oh, you would definitely think so, and it's what Jim Grove wants, because if you have time of possession.
10. Holding number 78 on the offense. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat second down.
Anthony Wilschlager, the center.
But if you keep the offense on the sideline over there because you're eating up the clock, they can't score if you don't turn the ball over.
And the clock will start, and that will bring the first quarter to a quick end.
Time now for our Chrysler passing playbook, and Ryan Moore with the big gain. That was the play that everybody saw the difference in talent, because it was one of those pass plays where Moore just exploded and Swanson couldn't keep up with it. It's a little play action. Watch his time. He looks, and Moore at the top of your screen just one-on-one outruns him. Swanson can't catch him. He lays out, makes the catch from right, but that's just a difference in talent.
That led to the only touchdown of the quarter after one. Miami 7, Wake Forest 3. An ABC Sports presentation of college football. We'll continue after this message and a word from your ABC station. Mike Tirico, Tim Brandt, Susie Schuster, glad to have you on board. Hard to believe Wake Forest wrapping up its season here in early November, but that is the case. Miami has 2 more regular season games left. The Canes host Georgia Tech and Virginia the next couple of weeks. Second quarter starts with 2nd and 17, and Kyle Wright throws it complete. Darnell Jenkins taken out of bounds by Alfonso Smith, that good freshman corner. And we'll have third down coming up, or second down coming up, excuse me.
It's a really nice play by Alfonso, because at the end of this, see him in his back pedal. Now watch him come up, and these are the kind of guys that can run by you. If you don't break down, come under control, and he rides him out of bounds. Very nicely done. And you know, you want to take a guy like that high. You see too many NFL guys that are diving at their feet, and they miss the tackles. Stay up, keep your eyes on him, take him high, and ride him out.
There you see Jenkins' numbers. Let me retract my self-correction. It is third down. 3rd and 8. Second snap, second quarter.
Retract myself. That's a good one.
5, pressure right. He's got time, though. And he's got Ryan Moore down the sideline. First down. Out of bounds at the 39. Pick him 17 yards again in front of Smith.
That's one of the things I think Wright has gotten better at. He keeps a play alive. Again, you've got the ISO. They're playing soft. You see Smith backpedaling. Now he comes up on the outside and runs himself out of the play. And Moore, if Moore can do that, he's one of those receivers that can feel where the defender is, and he'll slide to the open area.
There is Kyle Wright, some of the favorites of this sophomore out of Danville, California. Played a very good high school program to a lot of success. Wright has been perfect on the day. That's the second time he's hooked up with Ryan Moore. Play action with Charlie Jones as his tailback. Another deep shot for Sonaris Moss. Not even close, about 8 yards away.
That pass, I think, was intended for Santana Moss.
Santana's speed. Sonaris' older brother, who's had a terrific first half of the NFL season for the Redskins.
I'll tell you, they really are, Mike, both these guys, Santana and Sonaris, they're both having a good first half, because if you look at Sonaris and what he's done, he had 31 receptions and 3 years and 3 touchdowns. Here in this one season, his senior season, he's got 24 catches and 3 touchdowns, so he's having a great season.
Has another brother, Lloyd Jr., who plays at Florida International. Quantrill Hill is the lone back. They do this out of the shotgun on 2nd and 10. Here is the veteran Hill. Seems like he's been there forever. Gain of 5. Pierre easily makes the tackle to bring up 3rd and about 5.
See, with Santana being the oldest, Sonaris, then comes Lloyd. It should be Sir Lloyd. So it's Santana, Sonaris, and Sir Lloyd.
Lloyd is his dad's name, too, Lloyd Sr. And Santana's and Sonaris' dad. He's got 2 bowl rings on his hand, one on each hand. The 01 Sugar Bowl ring that Santana won, and the 04 Orange Bowl ring that Sonaris and the Canes won a couple of years ago.
Santana's got a big game tomorrow against Tampa Bay.
Yep. Blitz picked up. Wright has time. Throws complete to Moore. First down at the 42-yard line. Good job by everybody up front for the gain of 14. They picked up the pressure.
Talking to Dan Werner and Larry Coker this week, they say that Moore's a big play guy. They want to get him the ball more than they've been able to. He came into the game with 19 receptions. Already you could see in the first half they're looking for him more. There's a mismatch that they see, but look at the protection they get up front. So Wright's got plenty of time. They pick up the blitz. He steps up and just throws. I mean, he's got all day.
Moore has 3 receptions now, Tim, 73 yards. All 3 have gotten it for first down. And they just run the little bubble out to Darnell Jenkins, who makes a man miss in the open field and turns it in to very close to a first down. It'll be a half-yard shy as he takes it out to the 34-yard line.
And we've seen that twice now from Swanson, where he's missed a guy. And we were just talking on the other side how Smith broke down, came under control, because these guys are dangerous after they catch the ball. So right here, you want to break down, force him one way and hit him high, but instead, Swanson, number 7, kind of dives at his feet and loses him, picks up another 10 yards. Watch this. Here he is, break down, now take him high, but instead, you know, he kind of lost his balance, wasn't under control, fell to one side, then had to dive.
Miami's kind of passing here because that's what Wake is giving them to help set up the run. They'll just keep going to the air. Wright throws the out, a little bit hot for Akeem Jala, the junior out of New Orleans. It's incomplete. Just with what Wake Forest is doing number-wise, the defense is telling you, if you're Miami, hey, you're getting a lot of man coverage, go throw the ball.
Yeah, and I think they knew that coming in because they put 8 guys in the box, sometimes 9. They're going to put those corners out there by themselves on an island. Right now, the patience of Miami is incredible. They aren't in any big hurry. It's a quick strike team, but they're kind of feeling their way through. They see the man coverage. They're taking their shots. And you've got 101 up at the top of the screen right there. Or somewhere in between.
3rd and a yard and a half. They go this big unbalanced line, strong to the right with Winston. But instead, the running back Jones tries to come up through the middle, and he doesn't make it. And now we're going to have 4th down. So they bring Winston because of his ability. They move him around at times, and they load it up with more offensive linemen to the right. That's how you try to power it up the middle, and it wasn't there.
Well, he's a good-looking back, though. You know that. He's looking for a hole. There's no hole there. But at 203 pounds, he doesn't have the power, I don't think, right here to knock people over because they get him before he actually makes his move, and he can't bounce to the outside.
Matt Robinson made that hit. Now it's 4th down. Miami will go for it. They need 2. It is Jones looking, pushing forward, and he's going to get the first down. It appears out to the 32. So a good job to keep the feet moving, and Jones will move the chains with the 4th down conversion by the Canes. Tim pointed out, although Charlie Jones played very well when he came in the Virginia Tech game, this is his first start.
Watch this pull by McMeans to make this thing work. See him pull out of there? Now watch him get up in the hole. Jones just gets right behind him, gets in his hip pocket, follows him for the first down. How sweet is that?
Tyler at 330 pounds, 26-year-old former Marine leading the way for Jones. You saw his numbers against the Hokies. Only had 40 carries before he was pressed into service there. This is what he does well. Take it to the next level, into the end zone. Charlie Jones, 2nd Miami touchdown, 32 yards.
Off the right tackle, right where he went following McMeans. This time they didn't pull McMeans and get him out in front, the hole open, and there's nobody there. Watch him take this thing right off to the right, but this time McMeans is not in front of him. Sidesteps, slides, gets a block from the fullback, and then cuts to the outside and outruns everybody. And you think, okay, well, there's Smith, number 11. He's got great speed. Cannot catch Charlie Jones.
Quadrin Hill and Eric Winston at the big downfield blocks there. John Petty adds the extra point for the 29th time this year. And a 32-yard touchdown run gives Charlie Jones 2 touchdowns. 3 minutes in, 2nd quarter, and Miami leads by 11. 11:58 time remaining, first half. Charlie Jones the touchdown, 14-3, Miami on top. We should say hi to Tyrone Moss, who I'm sure is at home watching. Susie Schuster will tell us later on, give us an update. Tyrone had his surgery to repair the torn ACL in his knee. Had that surgery earlier this week, and that happening on Thursday. So I'm sure Tyrone is watching and rooting for Charlie and the rest of the Canes to keep it going. After the season opening loss to Florida State, Miami has won its last 7. Barclay will let it go out of the end zone. Wake Forest takes over at the 20 when we come back. So Corey Randolph and the Demon Deacons haven't done too poorly. They got to get something done on this drive. College football on ABC Sports brought to you this Saturday by Chevrolet, an American Revolution. Bud Light, smooth and refreshing. Bud Light, great taste, great times. And Pacific Life, for insurance, annuities, and investments. Choose Pacific Life, the power to help you succeed. It is basketball season here in ACC country. The Demon Deacons had a push in overtime from George Mason last night, but won their second game in a row as they play in the season opening tournament. They'll be heading to New York City to continue that. The football team goes a little trickeration. Reverse with Morton. Grabbed by the face mask, and that'll be a major one, too. Looks like it'll be a 15-yard penalty on Rocky McIntosh. It will be, so they'll take it out to the 37 and a first down.
I'll tell you, Rocky McIntosh just runs all over the field. And this is one of those situations. I don't think he was pulling his face mask on purpose. He's just grabbing cloth.
Personal foul, grasping the face mask, number 50 on the defense, 15 yards, automatic, first down.
But you can see in that replay, Rocky got there so fast he overran the play, and when he reached back, hoping to get some cloth, ended up in the face mask. Of course, at that point, you're not going to let it go.
No. That's why it's a 15 instead of a 5.
Exactly right, partner.
He turned his head around.
But the natural instinct is to hold on and bring him down.
So Wake takes it out to the 37-yard line. Wake hasn't done anything wrong on offense so far until that fumble recovered by McIntosh.
Timing is everything.
And Miami. Randolph never had the snap. Kind of fumbled it, bangled it, kicked it, knocked it down. And Miami's offense has great field position.
Great look at the snap, bobbled it, never really had it as you said, and then just kicked around. And look who comes up with it. What a game McIntosh is playing. He's everywhere. He's making tackles. He's recovering fumbles. He's bouncing outside in pass coverage, chasing guys down from behind. Terrific player.
And be careful for a shot at the end zone here. Right is 7 of 9 for 101 yards. Charlie Jones is his back. Lance Leggett, the big, tall, talented receiver, is at the top of your screen. They'll go to Jones. Wake Forest comes on the other side of the ball, makes the play, scales on the tackle, and here's Susie.
Well, Mike, former Miami Hurricane Antrell Roll, the cornerback, told me that a lot of people say Rocky's a lot like him. That's because when Antrell played at Miami, he played like a linebacker. It's the opposite. This time it's Rocky who's all over the field. He's on every play. He finds a way to get to the ball.
Wonderful speed for this senior who already has his degree in criminology. He battled lots of injuries, shoulder stingers, a herniated disc, bone chips in his right knee throughout 03 and 04. So after the Joriel Scales tackle, it is 2nd and 12. And here is Wright setting up the screen for Quantrill Hill. He's taken out by the feet by Alfonso Smith. 3rd and about 9 coming up, and a flag comes in. It was just dropped about 2 seconds ago. So this is post-possession hanky-panky. Who's it on? Canes. So it'll still be 3rd down.
So the hanky fell on the Pankies against Miami.
So those scores go by. I got a chance to peek at Texas there already. 4 early touchdowns.
Play, personal foul, number 78. Late hit, 15 yards from the end of the run, 3rd down.
Center Anthony Wolfschlager. 2nd time he's been flagged today. Tim, I mentioned that Texas score because you think this is an important day for Miami and Texas. Even though margin of victory is no longer in the BCS computers, it's still in the minds of humans.
Oh, without a doubt, Mike. And I think in this situation right here, as much as Larry Coker, that guy right there, doesn't like to run up a score, I think the human polls, they'll look at that. They'll see how much Miami beat Wake Forest, how big the Texas win, how's USC. You know, the rest of the way, they're going to look at that.
3rd down and long. Have to get to the 23, and Wright goes down. Nothing was open downfield as Alfonso Smith came with corner pressure, and Wake Forest gives Miami the ball at the +32 and backs him up 20 yards.
Just like we've been talking about McIntosh on the other side, that's the way we're talking about Alfonso Smith, number 11, on defense for Wake Forest. chasing guys all over the field. He's making tackles. We illustrated how he stayed up, came under control out when he had one-on-one situation. Here's the chase down from behind. Alphonso Smith, a redshirt freshman, playing big here for Wake Forest in the first half.
He's going to try to come after the punt of Brian Monroe, who was good against Virginia Tech. Kicks an ugly kick. And you'll see the official hold his hand up. He's going to wait to get a mark with the referee and see where the ball will be marked out of play. And there it is over at the 28-yard line. So the fumble only cost him about 5 yards of field position. After the 24-yard punt by Monroe, Wake Forest gets another chance. And one of the top stat men in ACC running back history is back on the field when you return. Demon Deacons take over after the poor punt, which was induced by a good rush by Wake Forest. Wake gets it back at the 28 with Corey Randolph, the senior quarterback, and Chris Barclay, the senior running back behind him. 10 carries, 22 yards for Barclay thus far. Nowhere to go. He knew right from the start of this game Miami would be focused on him, and he was still focused before the game in the locker room.
Finish the season. Finish the season. Finish today, baby. Dub set. WF. We finish.
As he comes to a finish of a terrific career for Jim Grobe, and if you were with us at the beginning of the broadcast, you heard Jim talk about how much Barclay has just been a pleasure to be around, what he's meant off the field in this program as well. I said, I don't even think the kid's had a bad practice. He's just a wonderful person to be around in addition to his stats. Another reverse. This is a reverse pass thrown by Morton downfield for Chris Davis. He's got it. Is he gone? Yes. Wake Forest into the bag of tricks for 6.
They ran this play Thursday night at practice. Jim Grobe was standing by me, and I said, oh, how about this pass? And he put his hands over my eyes. He said, you didn't see it. I said, well, I did see it, Coach. He goes, well, don't tell a soul, because we're going to run it. And how about the pass? Morton puts it right there, perfectly thrown, and Davis just runs right, never breaks stride, runs right under it for the touchdown.
What a throw by Morton. That was his 3rd pass attempt of the year, and the 2nd one that he completed. Extra point added by Sam Swank, and Wake still in it.
The rest of the story was Jim Grobe says, yeah, it works perfectly against our scout team, but we're going against one of the best teams in the country, Miami. Well, guess what, Coach? It just worked. It's 14-10.
Quite a senior day memory for the young man out of St. Petersburg, Florida, Chris Davis. The longest career touchdown reception from the junior. What a throw by Nate Morton, who has made a living on these pass plays. The 2nd time he's hooked up with Davis for a touchdown. They did it last year against Boston College and hit the biggest one in their Wake careers here on Senior Day 05. Timmy will show you how it worked in a second, but 14-10. 3-4 snaps ago, Miami looked to be in great position, and look how it changed. Sinaris Moss with the return, brought down at the 26-yard line. A good open field tackle by Eric Berry, the linebacker.
Pretty interesting how Nate Morton, the 6'3", 202-pound receiver, gets this thing started. He's going to be the passer and come this way. But here's your pass catcher. He's going this way, and your 2 safeties are right here, and they're expecting run. Go ahead and roll it, and you'll see the bottom of your screen how Davis just outruns this because the safeties bite their weight. They take that stutter step looking for the run. The pass is perfect. Davis runs under it, touchdown, just like they practiced it Thursday when we were out on the field with them. The key was getting those safeties to step up just for that split second and let Davis run past them.
You could hear in the background the flag came down on the return. It's blocked in the back, so Miami takes over deeper in its own field position, territory, I should say, with poor field position. By the way, the pass that Nate Morton completed as a quarterback, throwing an option pass earlier this year, was against Florida State. So it only goes against the big guys. To the tight end, Greg Olson across the 30. And this terrific sophomore takes it to the 31, a first down after a pickup of 16. Patrick G made the tackle.
You know, Greg Olson was a paraded high school All-American, went to Notre Dame for a little while, then transferred to Miami. Coaches say he could be better than Jeremy Shockey, Kellen Winslow, and Bubba Franks. Do you know what kind of praise that is from the coaches? Unbelievable. And they use him a lot. He's 6'5", 252. They use him a lot on that drag pattern, the way Joe Paterno used to with his tight ends.
A little breathing room now from the 31. Once again, Tony Tella tries to lead the way for Charlie Jones. It is brought down at the 35 by John Abadi, the middle linebacker. You talked about Olsen being one of the top players in the country. Olsen and Kyle Wright were 2 of the 3 finalists for the Gatorade Player of the Year in high school. And here they are on the same team. The third in that group was Chris Leak, the Florida quarterback. And what about Steve Spurrier today? South Carolina beating Florida. The old ball coach gets his old ball team. And Florida State losing today to Clemson. Right, dangerous throw. He miscommunicated with Moore. And Riley Swanson almost had a big interception.
You know, that's part of what you were talking about, Mike, with the Gatorade Player of the Year. That's part of the problem that Jim Grove has here. You know, he's trying to balance a great school academically with great athletics, and not that Miami's not, but they get the cream of the crop. They get the best athletes in the United States of America, and Jim's over here saying, hey, you want to come to Little Wake Forest? You know, it's a difference in talent here. What he does with his talent is phenomenal. He gets more out of his talent with his schemes than any coach in America.
And right now, midway through the second, there are a couple of a big play or 2 away from really starting to scare Miami. 3rd and 7, pressure up the middle. Wright had to get rid of it, and it's incomplete. So they twist and stunt in the middle, and Matt Robinson, the end, was coming right at the quarterback and didn't let Wright step into it and throw.
You make a heck of a point, Mike, because the longer this game goes on, and Wake Forest is in it, and I've been in games like this where you're not supposed to hang around, and you gain more confidence as it goes along and things start to go your way. I mean, this right here, Wright had a receiver, but I think right now he's starting to feel the blitz, steps up a little bit early and releases it higher than he wanted to, obviously. I mean, the ball sailed on him, but that's all release point in his passing arm.
Good pressure, a 24-yard kick last time. Monroe gets away, a slightly better kick. Idelette called for a fair catch, takes it on the bounce, but that still counts as a fair catch. Caught at the 25. The punt is 41, and Wake Forest will take over. Halfway through this second quarter, 14-10 Miami on top, and when this quarter is done, it's the Capital One Halftime Show with John, Craig, and Aaron. Scores, highlights, analysis. They'll preview the primetime game over on ESPN tonight as Auburn takes on those Georgia Bulldogs. Very important game in the SEC, made even more important by the South Carolina victory over Florida.
Former Miami star Lamar Thomas is here. Went to Craig James Journalism School.
That's right. Lamar is working some Miami tape-delayed broadcast that airs during the week. And keeping an eye on the Canes receivers as well. Corey Randolph looking for somebody to get open. He finds him. It is complete. And out of bounds at the 46-yard line to Nate Morton. So Morton, who threw the touchdown on the last play, gets his 39th reception of the year. It's a 22-yard gain.
And he now has a catch in 12 straight games dating back to last year. But this play is made by Corey Randolph. He buys time, keeps it alive. His guy in the flats is covered there by McIntosh. But he keeps rolling, waits for somebody to clear, and there he is. Nate Morton, 83, clears.
Good job Wake Forest is doing against this Miami defense that gives up 215 yards per game. Best in the country. Obviously, there's a big play in there, but still all set up by what Wake does on the ground here with Barclay. To the 49-yard line, give him 3.
Well, you watch Nate Morton make that catch on the play before this, and everybody's still talking about his pass to Davis. He's now 2 for 3 as a passer. That's a pretty good percentage here at Wake Forest, or anywhere.
That's right. Like I said, he hit the one this year against Florida State, and then the touchdown against Miami. So he's the official quarterback against the big guys from the state of Florida. Morton, a junior, the only guy making big plays on a regular basis this season in the passing game. Here he comes in motion, came down to block, run the other way by Barclay, and he will take it for the first down to the 42. The ball came out. The line judge, let's see if he says it was on the ground or not. There's no call there. They're looking over to the referee, and they say first down. So there was no fumble, and it moves the chains.
How about the first half Wake Forest is playing? And they all look at Chris Barclay, and they say, you've got to be the guy. So the defense is focusing on Chris Barclay because he is the focal point. He's the guy that's going to carry it more times than not. Then they run the halfback option pass, the reverse, the Nate Morton pass. And this is a pretty interesting offensive scheme they have here as you look at this play one more time.
Dangerously close to being out. His knee was almost on the ground, but it is not buzzed down, so no review. Randolph throws it to triple coverage, but a penalty marker comes down for pass interference on Miami.
And again, it's Nate Morton. Let me tell you right now, if you're picking out two guys for Wake Forest, it's got to be Alfonso at cornerback, and it's got to be Nate on offense. Those two guys having spectacular games for the Demon Deacons.
15-yard penalty. He'll take it to the 27.
Pass interference, number 6 on the defense. 15 yards, automatic. First down.
It's on Randy Phillips. Marcus Maxey, their other good corner, the senior, is a little bit banged up right now.
Number 1 is the pass catchable. There's all the contact, and they said it was 5th major penalty against the Canes today for 65 yards. That's not helping things for Larry Coker's group.
1st and 10, Wake Forest on the move, trying to take the lead against Miami. Barclay trying to bounce it to the outside, but Javon Nansen was there on the end for no gain. Tim, I want to come back 2 plays ago. There were 3 looks at that, and it was tough to tell if it was a fumble or not, but they never buzzed down. I'm getting the sense as the season goes on, they're a little bit less hesitant, or more hesitant, excuse me, to stop the game and take a look. And nothing official, it's just a feeling watching games. That was close enough that you would think stop the game and take the look to make sure there wasn't a turnover.
Yeah, I've got the same feeling you do, and I know that there's been a lot of discussion about the time that it takes away from the game. Also, if it's a close one like that, you need indisputable evidence, video evidence, to overturn it, and if they don't think they have it, they just keep that thing going.
Blitz, screen beats blitz a lot. Barclay made a nice move, made another one. Here goes Barclay, 1st and goal for Wake at the 7. A gain of 20.
Said the NFL scouts love him. He's tough, he's durable, but what he does here is spectacular. You said they don't throw to him much, but he's got great hands. Tarashinsky will get out in front of him. He'll get a block. Look at this, though, with Barclay. How about that little skip move right there? Then the explosion, and he spins and gives himself up at the end, but not until he moves the chains and gets it down inside the 10 to the 7.
On senior day, the senior Randolph, 7 of 7, 86 yards. The senior Barclay doing it on the ground. He's passed Warwick Dunn, 7th in ACC history for career rushing yards. Now tries to put Wake ahead of the number 4 team in the BCS standings. Option, Barclay to the edge, to the end zone. Wake Forest leads, touchdown!
An outside linebacker have to take the quarterback. There they are. They step up in front of him, but there's nobody on the pitch man. McIntosh is late getting out there. They get back Barkley outside of that, and just his speed to the pylon wins.
His 40th career touchdown. Swank adds the extra point, and what a turnaround. In 7 minutes and 2 seconds, Miami has gone from 14-3 with the ball at the Wake Forest 32 to down by 3 here in Winston-Salem.
You know, everybody, if they're playing Wake Forest, knows the option's coming. You have to wonder where the cornerback was, because the number 50 McIntosh is taking the quarterback. The corner has to come up and slide to the pitch man and never gets there. McIntosh is late getting outside, and that made for the touchdown.
Richard Belton a big block, and Suzie Schuster, the senior, is going out in style in his final game.
Mike, he told me before the game, this game means everything to him. He loves the stadium. He loves the turf. He said, no one's going to give us a shot for this game, but I have to get in the end zone one more time. I have to taste what it feels. Mike just got a really good taste of it that time.
He did. Barclay doing it all on that drive. Ran for 18, had the screen for 20. The numbers aren't going to be great against the Miami defense, but doing enough. They had to honor him, Tim, because of the big play ability he has. So all the guys up to stop the run. They've hit a couple of big passes, and this is shocking.
Yeah, and if you lose containment on Barclay, he's going to get outside with his speed and beat you to the corner. But, I mean, he's looking to be the first player to lead the ACC in rushing 3 straight times. He gets his 10th touchdown, and lo and behold, with 4:56 to play in the first half, who would have thunk it? The Deacons leading the Hurricanes.
And they're making noise in the library-like atmosphere. It was so quiet here before the game. But the fans got something to get excited about for sure.
They've gone from the library over to the student unions.
high kickoff. It'll be taken by Sonaris Moss from the 3, looking for the seam. Brought down at the 28. First contact, Robert Simmons, then Josh Gaddis, and John Saunders has an update in New York.
Well, it's the BCS Spotlight game presented by ADT Update. Matt Leinart already with a touchdown on the board. This one he does with his feet. 6 yards on the run as USC looks to win their 32nd straight. Remember, their last loss was to California over 2 years ago in triple overtime. They're up 14-3.
Thank you, John. So they're up 11. Texas is cruising, but Miami feeling the heat right now.
And we can make light of the stadium all we want. Jim Grobe calls it the Wrigley Field of the ACC.
It can be phenomenal. If the people here, I'm calling out the people of Winston-Salem and the Wake alums to get behind their school and their team. Here is Wright, who is pressured, moves nicely, throws it away. That ball didn't get past the line of scrimmage, I don't believe. That should be intentional grounding.
There is a flag, Mike.
You can throw it away once you're flushed, and Brian Andrews had his finger on the trigger to flush him. But when you throw it, it's got to get past the line, and the line judge is right there and telling the referee didn't get past.
The pass crossed the line scrimmage.
Really?
Therefore, there is no illegal pass.
How about the line judge?
Well, watch it now. He's going to pick up his flag because he did throw a flag.
Line of scrimmage at 28. Watch the line judge, bottom of your screen. He's right on the line, stays there the whole time.
Ball's got to get past the 28. There's great pressure. Oh, I don't think so. It's close. It's close. It's right there at the 28.
It is, and he moved out of bounds, and when he moved out of bounds, he came back down a little bit, so it kind of threw it off. But that's good job by the officials. He talked to the line judge and said, no, I moved. This is a second down pass to Darnell Jenkins, who got a block from Ryan Moore to take it for 8 yards. Alfonso Smith on the tackle. Hey, here's the Aflac trivia question. Well, make it about Barkley. Why not? He's having such a good game. Rushed for over 1,000 yards in 3 consecutive seasons, including this season. 5 other ACC running backs have 3 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Can you name them? And, you know, if you name 2, we'll give you the official Aflac credit. Because it's hard. It's hard.
What, any hits?
I know him. I saw him. We have a penalty marker down.
Blocking back, number 59 on the defense. 10 yards from the end of the run. First down.
Aaron Curry is called. Very rare that you see a block in the back whistled on the defense. Meantime, Eric Winston had to come out of the game for a second to get his shoe repaired, and now he's coming back in.
Curry's a redshirt freshman, leads all freshmen nationally with 8 tackles for losses, and you're right, that is an unusual call for the defense.
Blocking is not usually a part of the defensive equation. First and 10, and here is Jones. The penalty marker comes down to return the block in the back favor.
This will be holding.
A lot of penalties on Larry Coker's teams. A lot of big penalties, too.
Holding, number 78 on the offense. 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
Third time, Wolfschlager has been penalized here today. Miami 7-1, coming off the huge win at number 3 Virginia Tech to put them in the national championship picture if Alabama or USC or Texas should stumble. Right down the middle. Beautiful catch by Moss. Sonaris has speed. Sonaris Moss down the sideline and all the way. Yeah. Touchdown Miami. '64 yards. The speed of Moss. Taking it all the way, his 4th touchdown reception of the year.
Well, in the first 7 games, a Miami Moss had a 100-yard game, either Tyrone or Sonaris. And with Tyrone gone, it's got to be Sonaris. They're playing in a soft zone. He finds the crease. The ball is perfectly, but he goes up and gets it. Great hands. And his explosion here is phenomenal. I mean, he just runs away from G, the safety.
Petty on for the extra point, and he missed it. So Petty, who had 99 consecutive made extra points, and that streak was stopped in the win over Temple, misses this one here. Out of the hold of the punter, Monroe. And it is 20-17.
Larry says, hey, what's the problem, fellas? Come on, we got to make those because it's still a 3-point game. They can tie it with a field goal. That's a huge extra point. Don't take it lightly. Snap looks good. Hold is good. Just pushed it. Hit the upright, and it bounced this way rather than that way.
Petty was a terrific kicker. He's been in a little bit of a slump in his field goal kicking as well. So that miss makes it a 3-point game. But still, you talked about Santana Moss, and on that play, Sonaris really looked like his older brother. That post-catch speed was just sick how fast he was.
And as high as he went, got it at its highest point, and then the little snap of the wrist to make the catch.
And going up to get it, too, with 5'8". Perfect throw, too, by Kyle Wright. For Wright, it is touchdown toss number 12 on the season. So Miami responds after Wake Forest shocks them for 2 touchdowns in about 4 minutes. And it is a 3-point lead.
Entertaining first half, though, both ways.
Absolutely. Much better than many thought it would be. You figured Miami would come in understanding that their whole season has taken on different importance after getting the big win at Virginia Tech. If Miami wins out, they will represent their half of the ACC in the championship game. Florida State's already in from the Atlantic, but they lost again. Back-to-back weeks, Florida State has lost to Clemson, resoundingly, too, 35-14 in Death Valley.
Yeah, and the Coastal and Atlantic would meet December 3rd at Alltel, but this is not surprising because you come into an atmosphere like this and you're playing at Wake Forest. You're coming off the Virginia Tech win in an atmosphere that was electric, a game that really a lot of people didn't give them a chance up there at Blacksburg. They exploded. They won that game big. So if there is such a thing as a trap game, this is it. But there's a lot of football yet to be played. And certainly Larry Coker will let them know about that at halftime. But there's still 4 minutes to play here in the first half as well.
Barclay looking for a running lane. Those Miami backers fill them so quickly. That's still pretty good. 4 yards there on first down for Chris. Okay, we gave him some time to answer the Aflac trivia question. 5 other ACC backs with Barclay to have 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Some of the best running back names that this conference has seen over the years.
Well, Famous Amos is in there. Famous Amos Lawrence, Ted Brown, Warwick Dunn, Mike Voigt, and Kelvin Bryant from Carolina went on and played in the USFL and then on with the Redskins.
Ted Brown, terrific back. A couple of Carolina Tar Heels there. And, of course, Warwick Dunn, who's still doing it with the Atlanta Falcons. You see the other ACC game going on right now. Virginia leading Georgia Tech 17-7.
Corey Randolph sees something he doesn't like, takes a timeout.
So we'll step out with them here. 3:12 before halftime. Miami on top by 3. 2nd and 6 coming up after this Wake Forest called timeout with 3:12 left. And near the conclusion of today's game, our producer Chris Pfeiffer will select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet making a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. We may help Pfeiffer if he's not really sure of the pick. 2nd and 6 here for Wake. Randolph down the line, looking for the deep ball into double coverage of Morton. Intercepted by Kelly Jennings. With a lot of room to run and picking up blockers. Beeson threw a great block. Jennings down the sideline, pushed out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Steve Valos, the offensive tackle, made the tackle. But Miami, not only the interception, but they have it in great field position.
And Corey Randolph knows that's all on him. Shouldn't have thrown this ball because he throws into double coverage. Look at this. They've got him locked both ways. 19 Merriweather and Jennings inside out. Ball's just a little bit overthrown. His guy didn't really have a good chance at it. 22 Jennings comes down with it. You know, he leads the ACC in passes defended. That's his 3rd interception of the year. So it's not a high percentage play, even if he is a little bit open. I mean, you're going against a good defensive back who reads and reacts quickly.
2 picks against Virginia Tech, 1 here. And after the big 36-yard return, what a great chance for the Canes. A lot of room for running by Darnell Jenkins. Knee never came down, but a penalty marker did over at the 24-yard line. Another hold on Miami. It's like 85 penalty yards already for the Canes.
Yeah, it looked like a cut block, too.
Holding, 85 on the offense. 10 yards from the spot of the foul, first down.
Alfonso Smith was trying to tackle, and Ryan Moore didn't block him legally.
I got to tell you something. Alfonso Smith is a young player, redshirt freshman, but he is having a big-time game. Look at number 11, try to react. All right, there's the hold, actually tackle, but he still makes the tackle because his knee hit the ground. So, I mean, Smith doing everything he can to make plays.
Yeah, they ruled no knee hitting the ground, but that replay looked a little different.
Yeah, it did to me.
Yep. So they bring it back after the flag. It's actually going to be 1st and 16 because it comes from the spot of the foul. And here comes the run with Quatrin Hill into the secondary. Hill carries tacklers to the 10-yard line. 24 yards. I think this guy is so important for Miami here down the stretch. A senior who never really carries it a lot, but does so much in this Miami offense.
NFL scouts who were at practice here at Wake Forest on Thursday, they said they love the way this guy plays. He's not only a terrific blocker, but watch his strength as he starts to run here. And you see the guys, there's G, the safety, who's 200 pounds, but Quatrin Hill is 230.
Miami can pick up a first down inside the 1. 2:25 to go. Right. Looking for Jenkins in the back of the end zone. Not going to come open, so he's just throwing it away. Good job by the Wake Forest defensive secondary to be in the right spot. Matt Robinson chased right. I believe Robinson is the one who hit the deck after pursuing, and he is shaken up on the far sideline. So they're coming over to look at the sophomore defensive end, Robinson, who has 5 sacks, and all the athletic training staffs are great about this. They make sure if an injury happens on their sideline, if it's not their player, they keep him stabilized until the other team comes over for a look. And
you never like to see the trainer go after the appendage that has a brace on it and actually try to stabilize that. Matt Robinson, sophomore, and what he lacks in size sure makes up in 1-2. His motor never stops. He's all over the field.
He's a sophomore out of Cedartown, Georgia. Chasing right.
Looks like the knee just buckled. He never got hit or anything.
5 sacks on the season, leads this Wake Forest team. A starter since the second game here of his career.
And not putting much pressure on that left leg, so that's, you hate to see that. Last game of the year.
And Dan Callahan and Napoleon Sykes, a couple of reserves, come over to help him off. He's been active here in this first half. He's done a nice job putting pressure on Wright, the Miami quarterback. It's a Wake Forest defense that ranks near the bottom in the ACC in most of the statistical categories. Very young and undersized. And this is part of the Wake Forest team that is building toward the future under Jim Grobe. This defense will get better as time goes on.
When we were talking to Jim about Matt Robinson, he loves the way this kid plays, but he says he's been playing banged up all year. He said if you saw our bill for tape, you wouldn't believe it, because everybody on this team is held together right now with tape.
Including Abadi's nose. You see the middle linebacker who showed you earlier. Jim is he's got that one look, very straight-faced. He doesn't let you know if they're too high or too low. What a good guy, folks. It's hard to express in brief words how good Jim Grobe is and what a good job he's done here. Second down, the throw is hauled in by Jenkins, who has blockers and takes it to the end zone for a touchdown. Wolfschlager, the center, who's been flagged 3 times in the first half, got out there and threw a big block to lead Jenkins into the end zone for his 2nd touchdown reception of the year.
Mike, the interception was huge. Wake Forest trailing by 3 and driving, throws the interception, and it leads to this touchdown. And again, it's just like a flanker screen. He just kind of hooks out there, and nobody helps.
Petty missed the last extra point. Gets a chance to redeem himself before the half and banks it in. Wow, see that score? Tennessee's only leading Memphis by 1. Tennessee has to win to stay bowl eligible. As you look at the other scores go by, our new score is 27-17.
So Jennings made the interception, Jenkins makes the touchdown, and a 3-point game all of a sudden turns into a 10-pointer as we're ready to go into halftime. While we have a second, let's take a look at the Pacific Life game summary. Jim Grobe of Wake Forest doing everything possible to set this defense on its heels. So they bring Nate Morton around on the little reverse. He finds Davis deep. Chris Davis, 71-yard touchdown reception, and bang. Then here he is, the All-ACC running back. Barkley finds the corner, breaks containment, but Miami comes back with Sonoris Moss, 64-yard touchdown reception. That made it 20-17, and then the touchdown there, 27-17 with 2:10 to play in the first half.
We had 3 touchdowns here in the last 2 minutes and 45 seconds of this second quarter, and that touchdown for Jenkins, officially 11 yards.
And as the sun sets over Winston-Salem, the library sound comes back. This is a great little stadium, though. I love it when he calls it the Wrigley Field of the ACC.
It really could be. He saw a moment ago the hillside off in the south end of the stadium is all covered with blankets and people sitting out there. And this could be a really great atmosphere if the fans support this program, which is really building a great foundation. Barclay makes one man miss, cannot make everybody else miss, as he's brought down at the 20-yard line.
Mike, that's a heck of a point, the foundation that he's building, because they signed him, first of all, to a 10-year contract because they knew somebody coming in is going to need time.
Sunday night, Steelers-Browns. Monday night, Alan John in Philly for the Cowboys and Eagles. Not a lot to talk about with the Eagles these days, huh? 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ABC. Back to your point about Grobe.
Well, he signed a 10-year deal. I mean, it was very smart by Wake Forest to do that. They want some stability here. And so what he had an opportunity to do is redshirt guys. Everybody comes in, he tries to redshirt because he wants some seniors that have been in the program. He's just about now to break that loose.
First down, Barclay lost the football. Miami's got it back. Barclay, who rarely fumbles, comes up with one there. And Kenny Phillips, the freshman, takes over for the Canes, and this could be disastrous.
Only fumbles about once every 200-some carries, which is spectacular. This one, it looked like he never really got the handoff from Corey Randall.
You're right, Tim. 895 career touches between carries, receptions, and kickoff returns. That's only the 5th fumble he has lost in his career at Wake, once every 223 touches. Not a good time for that one to come up. So Miami, they quick strike from anywhere.
Sure, and they've got plenty of time here.
They've taken over twice in great field position. And can start doing it on the ground with Hill. Quadrant Hill takes it to the 15, and here's Susan.
Well, Matt Robinson, they're thinking, may have broken his kneecap. He's right to my right. He's been manipulating the kneecap. They're going to take him in the back right now, Mike, and give him some x-rays.
Yeah, I hope that comes out
such a good
better news.
You hate to hear that with anybody, but it's a painful injury.
At the end of the season here, too. It's an off season where you're thinking about getting healthy and bulking up and getting bigger. A long rehab off season. Thrown to Ryan Moore. End zone. Touchdown, Miami. Moore held it out over the goal line. Takes it in, and the Canes have scored 3 super quick touchdowns to take the lead back up to 16.
I'll tell you this, Mike, Jim Grobe and Dean Hood, the defensive coordinator, are going to work with Riley Swanson, another one of those cornerbacks. But we see him again. Doesn't break down, and you watch number 7 fly out of your picture, miss this tackle, and Moore just goes right around him. He broke the plane, no question about it. He reached over and did it, but Riley Swanson's got to come up and make that play, and the only way you do it, as you look at the extra point, is to come up, stay high, and to force him one way and tackle him high. You can't dive, or you can't lose your balance, and you can't overrun it.
2 touchdowns in less than a minute. 3 touchdowns in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Ryan Moore joins Jenkins and Moss with touchdown receptions. Matter of fact, the last 9 plays that Miami has run, they have 120 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's all happened in 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and all the enthusiasm as Wake Forest jumped up to a 17-14 lead. Gone. And they were up 17-14 with 4:56 left in the quarter.
And then the wake-up call. Miami got the wake-up call. Last 3 drives, 58 seconds, 47 seconds, and 40 seconds, and we told you it's a quick strike attack.
But the 2 turnovers by Wake Forest, and 2 of their seniors here on senior day, the 2 guys who make their offense go, Randolph and Barclay, put it on the ground and gave Miami some opportunities here in the second quarter. And the Randolph interception set up the second to last touchdown. Wake will take over at the 20-yard line.
Yeah, and there's got to be some serious coaching done right now because Wake Forest coaches have to keep these kids in the ball game. You can see just by their body language they're dejected. Corey Randolph is shaking his head and hanging his head, and the coaches have to talk to him, and I think that's what they're doing right here. Pull them all together and now tell them, hey, look, let's not let this thing get away from us here. If we quit, it could really be ugly.
Randolph, one of the 19 seniors that came, or freshmen that came into this program some 5 years ago, but you know, the normal amount of attrition, coaching change, 10 making it here to senior day for Wake Forest. Barclay cuts it back, spins in the secondary. Phillips started, Beeson finishes. He tackles a gain of 8 yards. So John, Aaron, and Craig are standing by in New York for the scores and highlights on the Capital One halftime show. They'll get us a preview of Auburn, Georgia in the SEC. What a weird day it is in the SEC with Auburn fans actually pulling for Alabama today. Georgia fans had the interest pulled in South Carolina against Florida. Barclay, it's a first down out to the 32-yard line with 43 seconds left. Vegas Franklin came in there on the tackle. Remember Vegas Ferguson?
I do.
Oh, great running back.
I'll tell you, Barclay's doing a nice job, though. Both of those runs, he exploded through the hole, so he's not quitting. And, you know, this was one of those games that they were saying is our bowl game. They aren't bowl eligible. It's their last game. And so they said, this is it. This is our bowl game. You find yourself down 34-17. You lose a little of that adrenaline, but Barclay's trying to get it back here.
Got a nice block, gets to the next level, takes it to the 39 with 25 seconds left. Now Wake Forest will stop the clock and take a timeout. Leon Williams making the tackle as Barclay has carried it now 20 times for 64 yards. This Miami team, because of the big plays and the odd nature of this game, they've already given up more than their season average here today.
Good timeout by Wake Forest as they get good field position, and still with 24 seconds left, they want to find out how they're going to manage this, try to get at least 3 points on the board.
If you told Jim Grove and Wake Forest that, guys, you would do something that hasn't been done in the last 5 games to Miami in the first half, they'd think they were in good shape because nobody has gained 200 yards and scored more than 16 points on the Canes since the game against South Florida. But Wake has put up 228 yards and 17 points. The problem is they've given Miami a couple of ridiculously short fields.
And if you told Jim Grove that he'd be winning 17-14 with less than 5 minutes to play in the first half, I think he'd be shocked. But he was.
His quarterback Corey Randolph is 7 of 8. The one incompletion didn't hurt, but the one interception, I should say, on the missed pass. There you see the complete numbers there.
Jim Grove can coach, no question about it, but you can see he's even a little bit deflated right now, I think.
2nd and 3 out of the timeout by Wake. Barclay eludes the Beeson tackle. Gets it into the secondary again. He's down to the 49-yard line. Clock stops to move the chains. 16 seconds left.
All right, there's got to be a sense of urgency. Corey Randolph's got to get him up to the line of scrimmage. He's got to get everybody lined up. 16 seconds to go. After the long field goal we saw in the first half, he's almost within range.
Clock started before the chains were put back down. Barclay running left, trying to take it to the outside. Beeson tackles him there, trying to take the ball out of his hands.
Yeah, the crowd's booing. They wanted to pass. They wanted to get this thing down in the field goal range.
Right before halftime, but they choose not to do it. Taking it into the locker room at 34-17. John, Aaron, and Craig coming up. Capital One halftime report. And our college football coverage continues after this message and a word for your ABC station.
When you're
badly in the first half. Corey Randolph with the exchange, couldn't get a hold of it. Ball was loose. They get it. Then the long pass into coverage. Jennings picks this off. That led to the Jenkins touchdown. And then Barclay put it on the ground, which is very, very unusual for him. Those 3 turnovers led to 2 touchdowns for Miami, and all of a sudden, instead of being 17-14 Deacs, it's 34-17 as we start the second half.
And Sonaris Moss is back deep to receive the Sam Swank second half kickoff as Miami deferred the option. After winning the toss, Larry Coker trying to improve his phenomenal career record and get win number 52 If he gets that win, he's going to tie Jimmy Johnson for the 4th most wins in Miami history. A wonderful coaching legacy through the years here at Miami, and Coker continues to add to it. So there is Swank's kickoff, and it will be halfway back in the end zone. Still Sonaris Moss will bring it out. And here in the darkness, he's taken out of bounds at the 17, right over by Susie Schuster. Suze?
Right in the middle of it. Well, I asked Larry Coker if it seemed like it took a while for his players to wake up. He said, I don't think that they've even woken up yet. He says they're sure not playing on offense or defense the way we coach them all year long. Now, Jim Grobe let me into the Wake Forest locker room. These players were attentive. They were listening to everything he said. Grobe telling them, I'm just disappointed that we're letting them get the best of us, that we can play with these guys. He told his players this game is still ours within reach. But remember, Mike, Miami's only allowed 7 points in the 3rd quarter all season long.
Yeah, this defense that's been dominant, Susie, has been at its best. Coming out of the locker room, and don't think it went unnoticed that they gave up 17 in the first half. First carry is going nowhere, taking the new starting running back, Charlie Jones, backwards. We'll take a peek at the numbers from the first 30 minutes. And Tim, the Pacific Life game summary shows us, other than the turnovers, Wake moving the ball well.
Yeah, if you look at time of possession and everything else going into this ball game, you say, holy cow, Wake Forest leads time of possessions. You see the 3rd downs, 4 of 6, while Miami's 3 of 6. But the 3 turnovers, Mike, critical, and I don't think there's any way you can avoid them. You have to look at those, and consequently, that's why it's 34-17.
We have the referee coming over to the sideline here to stop the game for a moment. And, I'm not exactly sure what he was doing. I don't know if we had the wrong football in there or what, but here comes Joe Ryder.
Kyle Wright now has the football he wants.
So play is resumed after the loss of 4 on the carry by Jones. Wright spinning out of the pocket. Nobody's deep downfield. Oh, dangerous pass by the sideline. Riley Swanson almost broke it up for a potential interception. Well, 3rd down coming up.
It's one of those deals where Kyle Wright keeps the play alive, rolls out, gets a block, and he thinks he's got something right here, but Olsen, who looked open, all of a sudden has Swanson right in front of him, who made a nice break on the ball.
Despite the incompletion there, Timmy, Wright 14 of 21 on the night, and completing 68% of his passes in the last 4 ball games.
That was a great look, looking right over Olsen's shoulder.
3rd and 14. Olsen, the tight end, is the move man. Let's see if Wake brings pressure. Off the edge, it's coming. They won't get to Wright in time as Kyle throws, almost intercepted by Josh Gaddis. So Gaddis, who has 2 touchdowns on interceptions already this year, almost had another one, and that would have been a momentum changer.
Well, he's tied for 2nd in the country with 5 interceptions. This one should have been picked. That's one of those deals that was right in his hands, and he just dropped it. Look at this. You wonder how in the heck did he miss it? Wow. That should have been a pick, and it would have been 6.
Wake came close to a punt block in the first half. Looks like they're setting up a return to this Brian Monroe punt. Willie Idolette standing back by midfield. High kick by Monroe, not deep, about 39 yards. Idolette from the 48 makes 1 miss. There are 5 other white-shirted Canes waiting to bring him down, including, let's see, John Rochford, who is the interior lineman in there helping protect. 38 yards on the net. Good field position for Corey Randolph, taking over at the 49-yard line.
Wake Forest offensive line came into this game banged up. Anybody gets hurt, Jim Grobe says, I'm not sure we've got enough guys to play. But they scratch, they claw, they fight with their hands. They're as good as any team in the country when they talk about getting the most out of the talent, I guess what I'm trying to say there.
Morton, some of that talent through the touchdown pass earlier. They run it to Barclay, who gets about a yard. As we mentioned, Barclay went over 4,000 career rushing yards and scored his 40th career touchdown in the first half. That puts him into very elite company. Only 2 other men in the history of the ACC have done that. Over 4,000 rushing and over 40 touchdowns.
Like at halftime, Jim Grobe was trying to sell his guys on the fact that you're not out of this yet. As a matter of fact, you're only in this predicament because you hurt yourselves. Protect the football. Let's take advantage of our situations, and here they've got great field position.
2nd and 9 with the guard pulling for him. Barclay carries out to the 47. It's only going to be in a yard and a half. On third down coming up. Thomas Carroll made the tackle. If you weren't with us at the top of the game, Brian Pata, starting defensive end, is not here. Didn't make the trip, knee injury. Devin Hester, left hamstring that he re-aggravated against Virginia Tech, also back in South Florida, didn't make the trip. And Tyrone Moss, the running back, obviously out for the year, had surgery on that torn anterior cruciate ligament a couple of days ago. So Miami without three big contributors to its team here today, and Moss obviously for the rest of the season.
Using a lot of the play clock without the huddle.
3rd and 7. Davis is the move man. Randolph in trouble, and he's brought down. Sacked by Kalis Campbell. Out of Denver, the redshirt freshman. Has a brother at Colorado State. He's a wide receiver. Very tall guy. Played some basketball in high school, but he's a natural football player.
Rolled right into it, and Barclay missed his block. Out of the left hand of your screen, then tried to grab him and couldn't get him. Boy, I tell you what, you miss a block against a guy like Campbell or any of those guys up on that defensive front of Miami, and you're going to pay the price.
Second sack. Here's Plaquemire. Haven't seen much of this very good kicker. Career average will be the best in college football history as he plays his final game. It's 43. It's short for him. At the 16, flags fly from every angle. And this one will come back, and Miami ball around the 10 after Jenkins' punt return attempt.
They had so much pressure that time. I think they actually hit Plaquemire's foot. Missed the ball and hit his foot.
James Bryant is number 45 for Miami.
Blocking the back, above the waist, number 51, on the return team. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
Ian Romeo Davis there. They flag Davis. We have a timeout. Miami taking over at its own 10. 3:15 gone by here in the third quarter.
There it is.
Yep.
51 Davis.
And the second one that comes in there is the other one. Miami continues to get flags. They continue to lead by 17. Back on this campus, enrollment 4,027, one of the smaller schools in Division 1A. Wake Forest trailing Miami 34-17. 3:14 into this third quarter. And on first down, Charlie Jones runs left. He'll get it for a couple of yards. So Miami coming off that big win in Blacksburg, 27-7 last week, and boy, did they do it all. Frustrating Marcus Vick, pressuring the quarterback throughout, forcing 6 turnovers and the touchdown there late in the game. Time Kyle Wright was effective. The pass to Darnell Jenkins there. But really what they did to Virginia Tech's offense took all the personality away from that Hokie team that was playing with such confidence, as Jones takes it to the 18-yard line here. Tim, I thought when we talked to the Miami folks this week, it was pretty interesting. They were almost disappointed that they were off the radar. Usually teams like to sneak up on people. They were disappointed they were in that situation.
Well, after the national exposure they got in the very first game against Florida State, a game they felt they should have won and lost it on a dropped snap on a field goal. Then they went and they played a soft schedule before they got the exposure against Virginia Tech. So they were not on the national scene there for a while. Then they got the national exposure, and with a 21 or 27-7 win. How about this, Mike? What they wanted to talk about was the balance they had last week against the Hokies. Not only the 6 turnovers, 152 yards running, 152 yards passing.
Jones broke out of that hit that was going to stop him shy of a first down, and gets the first down as Dominic Anderson tackles him out at the 23-yard line to pick up a 7.
You also got the same feeling I did, that Larry Coker and the rest of the coaching staff and the players really felt like they were dissed, like they were not getting the respect that they deserved. And that was part of their battle cry last week. And as you look at Charlie Jones running here, I mean, he came in last week and picked up when Tyrone Moss went down with the knee injury. I mean, Charlie Jones came in and he showed him he could run between the tackles. He was big, he was strong, 203 pounds. They had a great rushing game.
72 yards today for Jones and 2 touchdowns. Tyrone Moss, the running back who's out with the knee injury for the rest of the year, gave him a lot of that after the contact run ability. Big throw, big catch. There goes Lance Leggett all the way for a touchdown.
This is a game Riley Swanson's going to want to forget.
A 76-yard touchdown pass to Leggett, who has been much maligned for his drops earlier this season, but he picks up his second touchdown reception on the year.
Put a guy like that in front of a jugs machine and just keep throwing passes at him. Let him catch him day and night. But he's 6'4". He's got terrific speed. He's got all the talent in the world. And a lot of that is mental when you start dropping passes, because there was so much talk about it. But here, 76-yard touchdown reception. He just ran right by Riley Swanson.
All the receivers are in the mix here. Sonaris Moss has one, Darnell Jenkins, Ryan Moore, and there Lance Leggett. John Petty has the extra point deflected, and it goes in. Boy, extra points were like a foregone conclusion with Miami, and now it's been a problem. Missed one earlier, one there.
It was 17-14 Wake Forest with less than 5 minutes to go in the half. Since then, Miami has awakened with 3 big touchdowns.
The art of ACC country, college football on ABC, brought to you by Cadillac and the SGS with available performance-tuned all-wheel drive. Breakthrough. Aflac. To find your 2005 Aflac Holiday Duck, visit our website. And Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, one taste, and you get it. We are right off of Tim Duncan Drive. You look inside Large Stoll Coliseum, where Duncan, the great All-American, first-team All-American, and three-time NBA champion, plied his trade. It is Miami with the future pros putting on the show. Wright has thrown 4 touchdowns here in the last 9 minutes and 8 seconds. And Miami has scored 27 unanswered points. Chris Barclay on the return, brought down at the 27. And Mr. Brandt will show you why the touchdown happened.
Well, it's a good read by Kyle Wright, because he sees man-to-man coverage over here and here as well. And then you look and you say, all right, where's the free safety? Here's the free safety. He can't get over in time. So go ahead and roll it. You'll see Lance Leggett in a white jersey just run right by Riley Swanson in the man coverage. Here comes your safety. Too late to make a play. Touchdown, 75 yards, Miami.
Swanson has been burned on multiple occasions, and Leggett, who had a good freshman year, has a ton of ability. Just has had some drops right from the start of the season, but has been coming on the last few games. Randolph throws. Corey's pass is incomplete. It was intended for Zach Selman, the tight end. Kyle Wright, what a show. 4 touchdowns here and spreading it out. 13 receptions for the receiving core for 260-plus yards. They've caught 13 of Wright's 15 passes on the day. So Wake Forest, that's what they want to do defensively. Put the numbers in the box to stop the run, force you to pass. Miami's take advantage of it, and Wright's having one of his best days in his first year as a starter. Second down, here comes Barclay. He lost the football for the second time today. And Miami recovers. Greg Threet, the backup safety, comes up with the fumble. This is the guy, as we mentioned when it happened before, who mishandles it once every 220 or so touches and has put it down twice today.
So uncharacteristic it had to happen here on senior day with NFL scouts, and that one just kind of slipped out of there. You say, oh my gracious, what a nightmare this kid is having. One of the nicest kids in the world, too. Tough football player, extremely durable, and today 2 fumbles, very uncharacteristic.
Miami comfortable, 41-17 with 9.5 left here in the third quarter. Canes on their way to going to 8-1. They close against Georgia Tech and Virginia at the Orange Bowl. Wright throws this one away. Wake Forest, if they don't come back, will end the season at 4-7. Canes leading here by 24. Kyle Wright has shown Tim that he very well could be the next in that terrific line of Miami quarterbacks. All you folks down in South Florida know the names over the years and the pressure that was on him. Ken Dorsey did such a good job for so long at Miami. And then Brock Berlin never was a steady leader of the offense. Wright taking over here as a sophomore has all that you would ask for. Jones into the secondary. First down at the 30. Charlie Jones gain of 14.
Well, the guys you talk about won national championships. Ken Dorsey won the national championship in the 2002 Rose Bowl. And then if you look, you say, all right, well, Kyle Wright only had 9 passes last year. So his improvement continues game by game. But those are more passes than Bernie Kosar or even Steve Walsh had when they went into national championship seasons. So, I mean, he had some experience last year, not a lot, but he continues to get better here. You saw it in the second half of the Florida State game, and he's improved ever since with a little hiccup against North Carolina.
Late flag here.
After the play, personal foul, number 11 on the defense. Late hit for distance to the goal line. First down.
Alfonso Smith, the freshman, flag there. You talk about the numbers, and he said, somebody's grabbing my face mask. What am I going to do? And the official says, not so much. Yeah, you talk about the North Carolina game. The whole Miami team was in a little bit of a malaise. Remember, that was the week when the hurricane came through. That game was postponed and pushed back. And they came out sluggish, 16-7 in the first half. What a lot of us didn't realize, Jones has blockers over here. Charlie take it to the 11, pickup of 8.5. A lot didn't realize how bad it was. The players had no power. A lot of the coaches had no power. You're talking to some folks. There are still plenty of people in South Florida who are just getting back online with power. After Hurricane Katrina came through Florida and then did all the devastation in the Gulf, there was almost fatigue nationally from people paying so much attention to Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama, that they didn't realize the hurricane that came through a few weeks ago did a huge amount of damage in South Florida.
You think they went all the way through the names of the hurricanes this year. That's how many they had, and almost all of them went through Florida.
Right, touchdown, Olsen. So that is the 5th different Kane to catch a touchdown. Olsen, the leading receiver in terms of receptions, gets his 4th on the year. In Miami, down by 3 with 4 minutes left in the second, is now up 30.
Play action on the waggle. He had the guy in the flats, instead elected to go deep in between 2 defenders, but put it right between the 8 and the 2. And as you said, Olsen, the high school parade All-American, the one the coaches say could be better than Jeremy Shockey and Kellen Winslow and Bubba Franks, makes his 5th of the year.
Petty has the extra point blocked. We've already had a 2-point return for an extra point today by the Florida Gators, but Wake Forest isn't going to do it. What is going on with John Petty? He has had 1 blocked, 1 partially blocked, and missed 1 off the upright. Josh Gaddis was shaken up a bit on the return. There's the touchdown. Beautiful throw from right over the linebacker to Olsen. 47-17, Miami. Miami has scored 33 points in the last 10 minutes and 55 seconds.
All on Wake Forest turnovers.
Yeah, for the most part, you're right. Yeah. 47-17, Jim Grove's team down by 30 on their way to a 2nd consecutive 4-7 finish. Last year they had 8 games, Timmy, come down to the final possession. They had a couple of losses like that this year. The opener against Vanderbilt turned out to be a good team. Then 3 weeks ago at Boston College. This one will be one-sided. It is Alfonso Smith back for the return this time, and the freshman takes it across the 20 to the 21-yard line.
Jim Grove's body language when we saw him there kind of spoke volumes, didn't it? He's going to have to wait until next year to get his 27th career win, his 14th ACC win, and he knows that. He had such high expectations for this game. He really believed that they had a chance to upset Miami with the game plan he had. And to be brutally honest, again, and I know we're harping on this, he led 17-14 with less than 5 minutes to play in the first half, and they've just turned the ball over repeatedly and given the game back, now lopsidedly back to Miami.
Here is the first down run for about a yard or so. Tim, it is part of the bigger picture with Wake Forest as Barclay has come out of the game, by the way. This is a program that needs to find ways to build. And the whole idea that Jim Grove has is to build this team through depth. Get your 4th and 5th year seniors going and kind of create that by redshirting. And you mentioned it earlier, Ron Wellman, the athletic director here, sat down with Jim, and Ron is very active in a positive way as an AD and said, okay, how can we build a model here to follow so we can get ourselves to be a competitive football team? D'Angelo Bryant is that running back who came in for Barclay. Here's his second carry. He stumbles and gets back to the line of scrimmage. Third down coming up. And a lot of it is by redshirting a bunch of players.
Right. First of all, there's the reality factor. They understand that this is a very small school with an Ivy League mentality, and the campus is very Ivy League. So when you're recruiting, you've got to sell them on the fact that you're going to get a great Ivy League type education here, and you're going to play in a conference like the ACC. So you get to play the Miamis, and you get to play the Florida States, and that's a great selling point to a lot of these kids. Then you're right. He says, all right, we're not going to change your offense because this helps us compete. And they don't see this kind of offense like the service academies.
Right.
And then he says we need seniors and juniors to make it happen and bring the younger guys up through it slowly so that they have repetitions. And that's what he's trying to do with the redshirt program.
Here is Randolph throwing deep. The pass is out of bounds. Incomplete as Chris Davis tried to get a foot in and drag it in. It's incomplete. It's fourth down. You mentioned the service academies. That's part of Grove's background at Air Force as an assistant before going to Ohio and then here to Wake Forest.
Davis had that big touchdown catch on the halfback option or the wide receiver option earlier through the pass. Just couldn't stay in bounds here. It's a tough thing to teach, the body control to drag your feet. I don't even know if you had a chance to do that. Here's a big-time player, though. Plackemeyer will play at the next level.
Terrific punter. And there's one that he's turned over. It's his best of the day. It's a 74-yard punt. All the way back to the 15. And the return, after missing a few by Jenkins, comes out. See if it's a fumble.
I thought he was on the ground when it came out.
He is. He's pointing, the official pointing to the ground. So it'll be Miami ball at the 30. Punt of 64 yards, I beg your pardon.
So if you're Wake Forest, you want to start begging, but by rule, the ground can, you know what? I'll tell you what. It's hard to tell. His knees might have been down, but take another look from this angle. That's a reviewable play, too.
Player's body was in the way there. Couldn't tell if the knees came down. This would certainly be one to look at.
Ball's out. That is a fumble.
And they are whistling down now. Pager system lets the officials know to look at it.
You don't have a great view of his knees, but I think that last angle we saw is good enough to give him indisputable evidence.
Steve Justice, the lineman, is down there.
Here's the angle. The ball is out before that knee hits.
Yeah, I would say fumble.
I would say fumble. That angle, you can't really see his knee. You've got to be able to see the knee and the ball at the same time.
Get a good look head on from this angle.
Watch his right knee and his left knee and the ball. Well, that's a bang-bang play there.
So they review it upstairs, and they will call down to the officials with the final answer.
What do you think, partner? Do you have enough evidence?
I think that one's out. I think that one's out, and it's a fumble, and it's Wake Forest ball.
Well, the ball's definitely out. It's going to be whether they can see his knees or not in any of those replays for the indisputable evidence.
Last 9 possessions, Wake Forest has turned it over 4 times.
Hey, fellas, it's 47-17. Say it's out.
just 24 offensive plays they've run, and there you see the mechanics of making the decision here.
All kidding aside, these guys, I think, really do a terrific job with the instant replay. And I'm one that just loves it in college football.
It is smart. It's the right way to go.
But there are still some coaches that don't like it.
There are. Just one more look. This head-on angle. Let's see. There's the knee down. The ball's out. Yeah, the ball is out before the knee comes down. You can see it best there. One more time here, guys. Thank you. Right there. See, knees are not down yet. Ball out. That's a fumble, and it should be Wake Forest ball 32. The guys in the truck end there looking. While we do that, Jeff Wynn is with us directing today because our director, Larry Cavallina, with us most every week, is under the weather back in New York, and we send our best wishes to Larry and hope he gets better and look forward to seeing him Thanksgiving weekend.
And a big thanks and a great job to Jeff Wynn as well. Terrific director. So
get well soon, Larry.
A lot of depth at directing position.
It's a good team. All right, we have an answer. Joe Ryder will bring it to us.
After review, the ball was loose, whistle was blown, they have an inadvertent whistle, goes back to the spot where the fumble was lost. First down, Miami.
So they give it to Miami. They don't have the evidence to turn it over. What they do say is that there was an inadvertent whistle, and so they move Miami back.
I mean, don't bother having replay. If that's the case, do not bother having replay. I mean, come on.
Well, the last replay I thought showed indisputable evidence.
It did, and he said it was, but there was an inadvertent whistle.
Right.
That means the whistle stopped play, and that was the problem the NFL had with its replay over
and so
the
they
years.
move it back.
That serves no purpose except to waste people's time. So fix that part of the rule. From the 29, Duron Thomas is the running back. He gains at 4.4. And here is John Saunders with an update in New York. John?
Mike, the Pontiac game-changing performance update. Charlie Whitehurst and Clemson in a 14-14 tie with Florida State. Chancey Stuckey takes this one for the touchdown, and Clemson blows out Florida State 35-14. Nominate your Pontiac game-changing performance at ESPN.com, keyword Pontiac.
Hey, John, that's going to hurt Miami, and I'll tell you why here in a second. Another run by Duron Thomas, because Florida State, already an opponent once, could be an opponent twice, will be weakened. Wins over Florida State not as strong as they keep losing. Look at the Dr. Pepper ACC update today in the league. There's the score. John just showed you the highlight. Florida State's probably going to be out of the top 25 now. Overtime in Chapel Hill, Carolina misses a field goal, Maryland makes. In Charlottesville, Georgia Tech and Virginia, the two teams left on the Miami schedule, all tied at 17.
And Mike, I know it's a controversial subject, but I'm telling you right now, that man right there has to think, okay, more points influence more people, especially obviously in the human polls, but also in the computer poll it has an effect. These teams are going to run up, and you hate to see teams run it up, but they're going to do that.
Darnell Jenkins, this is a fumble. And there was no inadvertent whistle there, and Wake Forest recovers at the 45, so they get their justice 13 yards and a minute or so later. Demon Deacons will take over.
So now every time you watch the top 4 teams in the BCS, you're going to be looking at their scores and see who impressed the most.
John Abadi comes up with a recovery for Wake here. This one is. I think Darnell needs to get the message. That's twice in 3 plays. Ball security.
Keeping it away from his body. You've got to tuck it. You've got to keep it close to your body where that impact cannot knock it loose.
Got to keep it close to your body or a body will recover.
That's right.
As he did for Wake Forest.
We're getting punchy.
Don't hit me. Don't hit me. Randolph takes over now. Here's Corey from the 45. That throw is intercepted by Merriweather. Not only was it a great pick, he stayed inbounds. Then, in one smooth move, he leaped over the bench.
Well, that part's all great, but I mean, the ball was thrown right to him. It was like he was the intended receiver, and you have to wonder, hey, Corey, what are you looking at? Again, it's double coverage.
5th Wake Forest turnover.
Look at this. I mean, he looks like the intended receiver. That's just another poor pass and a bad read and a poor decision by Corey Randolph.
And the 3rd pick of the season for Brandon Merriweather. So Wake comes back on the field for 1 snap, and Miami's offense resumes. Duron Thomas has the back. Loss of a yard there. Tim, let's get to the point you were talking about with the BCS. The strength of a victory has been a diminished part of all the computer polls after the controversy of running up the score a few years ago.
It's not supposed to count that much.
And you made the correct point about that it influences the human voters when they see scores. If they see Wake Forest score a couple of late touchdowns and it's 47-31, they would have a different impression than if they turned into the game up to this point and saw the 30-point dominance by Miami, with Texas out to a big lead, USC playing Cal today.
And the sad note, but the brutal reality is a lot of the voters do not get to see these teams week in and week out. And so they're looking at these scores. I mean, for instance, USC, if they're in a 4 o'clock game out on the West Coast and they're not being seen nationally, then people aren't getting a chance to see how good USC is. So they go right to the score and say, all right, they won big. They should have won big. They've got my vote.
These are the BCS standings brought to you by Allstate. Miami was 3 in the human poll, but computers in the other poll, knocking them down to 4 when all put together. Now, Miami obviously starts with USC, Texas, or Alabama needing to lose once to even enter the equation. But the point I want to make here is the computer impact of Miami games against Florida State, their only loss, going to be lessened as Florida State continues to struggle. Wright goes down back at the 35-yard line. It'll be a loss of 3.
And you're right, and the reason you're right is because, and this is more the computer than anything else, the strength of schedule, which 2 weeks ago we saw USC dropped out at number 1. That was all strength of schedule. Texas leapfrog. But we could see by the way it was going, we said, hey, next week USC will be number 1 again, and they should carry that throughout the rest of the season because of the way the schedule's set up. And now your point with Florida State losing the last 2 games is well taken because that does hurt Miami.
Brian Monroe in to kick with less than 3 minutes here in the third. Willie Idolette is back deep to receive. Willie's got it at the 26. And he'll return it 3 yards to the 29-yard line. Kick of 40, return of 3. Rocky McIntosh the tackle, and a reminder, the NFL takes over in prime time on ESPN and ABC. Tomorrow night over on ESPN, you have the Browns and the Steelers. Their great rivalry is renewed at 8:30 Eastern. Then Al Michaels, John Madden in Philadelphia for the Dallas Cowboys. Philadelphia Eagles. Cowboys 5-3, Eagles 4-4. That's the Monday Nighter, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific here on ABC. Giants out to the good first half in the NFC East atop the division. And Washington and Dallas there at the 5-victory mark. And the Eagles, the NFC champions, at 500. Big hit by McIntosh on D'Angelo Bryant.
You know, Mike, I'm one of those guys that thinks that not only the and one, but I would like to see the 4 BCS Bowls, the winners become the Final 4.
Yeah.
And then you have a semifinal in the championship. I don't think we'll ever get to that, as much sense as that makes, because they say these guys play too much. Forget about the basketball guys being on the road for a month or playing, you know, during tournament time. But everybody's got a playoff except for D1A. And I really would love to see that. You know, the Final 4 and then the semis and then the championship game.
Randolph's pass is incomplete. This Miami defense is all those good players. So many of them you see proud of their affiliation with the U every time you see the lineups introduced on Monday Night Football. And talking about the Monday night game, our Monday night connection, Al Michaels joins us from Philadelphia. Hello, Al.
Hello, Al.
Hello, Mike. How you doing down there?
Good. Timmy and I glad to visit with you. Looking forward to the game. And boy, could there be more of a sideshow around one team than what's gone on with the Eagles in the first half of the season?
No, there can't be, as you know. I mean, it's been the overwhelming story, and of course, it's been going on for about 3 months. And what's really lost in all of this is that the NFC East is very wide open right now. The Giants are on top, but this is a tremendously important game for Philadelphia, and Dallas sort of has very quietly gone 5-3. So, I mean, the game in and of itself, Cowboys-Eagles, should rest on its own foundation. But of course, you've got all of this other thing going on with Terrell Owens, and you know, we'll discuss it. It's been discussed ad nauseum, of course, but we'll give you the update on Monday night.
I tell you, I'm ready to discuss it some more, Al, because you've seen Donovan McNabb over the years. You've seen what he's done, and then you heard what T.O. said about him in the Super Bowl, and then you saw his finish last week against the Redskins when he threw the pick at the end that gave the Redskins the win. Is part of what he says correct?
I think it is, Tim. I really do. And I think, you know, as far as McNabb is concerned, I'll tell you one thing. We had him on opening night, the first Monday of the season in Atlanta, and he took a shot. And remember, it looked like he was going to come out of the game. It looked like it could even be a 4 or 5 week or even season-ending injury. It's what they call a sports hernia. So how he's been able to play in pain and do what he's been doing, and of course they don't run the ball very often. They've been very ineffective, so he's throwing the ball about 75% of the time. I'm just amazed that this guy is still in one piece, and if the Eagles are to go on and do something special, I think you've got to look at Donovan McNabb as an MVP candidate because of all of the things that he has been able to overcome to get to this point.
Pass complete to Chris Barkley there. Wake's first down at the Miami 41, and here is the senior on the option. He'll take it for about 8 yards. Al, we're watching Miami here, the University of Miami, and Barkley takes a big hit as he was airborne but pulls himself up. I love watching those Monday night lineups, starting lineups, the pride of all of the players from Miami, the 47 in the NFL who just say they're from the U. As you travel around, they have such a pride in their school, don't they?
Either that, they'll either say the U, or Mike, they used to say Miami Hurricanes. You know, where do you go to school? I go to Miami Hurricanes. so I'm waiting for one guy, just for maybe for Donna Shalala's sake, to come on one day and say the University of Miami.
Dr. Shalala, of course, the president of Miami, former cabinet officer, director of what was then Health and Human Services in the Clinton administration. Barkley off for a second. It is 2nd and 2 as we visit with Al Michaels in this final minute and a half of the third quarter. Wake Forest leading by 30, and D'Angelo Bryant is tied up for a loss of a yard or so. Al, we could have the two teams in the Super Bowl last year, the Patriots and the Eagles, in some big trouble in the very mediocre divisions in terms of nobody's run out far ahead, because now they're both at 500 as we get to the second half of the season.
And Mike, isn't that the NFL today? I mean, when we looked at Tampa Bay winning it all in 2002, and they started out great in 2003, and then they lost that game to Indianapolis on a Monday night when they blew a 21-point lead at home, and all of a sudden that began to write an end for what was going to be a Tampa Bay mini dynasty. So it's funny how this thing works, and of course these two teams have had such tremendous success, not only last year by getting to the Super Bowl, but over the past few years. And I think, Mike, that it begins to have a cumulative effect. I mean, as far as the Eagles are concerned, they fight. 3 years in a row they get to the NFC Championship game. They finally get to the Super Bowl. So, maybe there's a little bit of emotional attrition that takes place with these teams. And as we all know, I mean, every game in the NFL seems to be decided by something crazy or screwy or fluke play or a turnover and all of that. So, I mean, that's why we love it.
That's right. We have 4th and 2 here as we get to the back end of the quarter. Al, we will watch you, John, and Sam Ryan on Monday night. Great to visit with you, buddy.
We'll be watching you, Hoss.
Great to be a third guy in the booth with Big Mike and Big Tim. Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye, Al. Thanks. Al Michaels joining us from Philadelphia. D'Angelo Bryant, that 4th down run. Gain of 13, picks up the first down at the 20-yard line as we get to the back end of this third quarter. Both touchdowns scored by Miami. One missed extra point. Here's the run by Bryant that will put the third quarter to bed. Picking up the first down on 4th and 3. Miami with a big 33-0 run here in basketball country. 33 points in 10 minutes, 55 seconds. They are up 30, off to the 4th. After this message, and a word from your ABC station. Off we go to the fourth quarter here in Winston-Salem. 47-17. Miami on top.
Never know with 17-14 with less than 5 to go in the first half.
Corey Randolph here on senior day playing his final quarter, and his pass is incomplete. Well, we remind you that college football continues tonight on ESPN. Presented by Polaroid, available in high definition. Tommy Tuberville and Auburn going to go down and see if the dogs can hunker down. Auburn and Georgia, 7:45 Eastern on ESPN. Between the hedges in Athens. Very important game with the importance changing in the East after Steve Spurrier in South Carolina beat Florida.
Auburn, Alabama will be fun this year.
Oh, yeah. An Alabama-LSU game has been entertaining today, tied at 10. As they play the fourth, Thomas Carroll made the tackle of Bryant, and here is Susie Schuster.
Well, Mike, just a bit of an update from the Wake Forest Infirmary. This is Richard Belton. He is out for the rest of the game with a sprained left ankle. Now, if you move to his back, it's Nate Morton, who is actually putting his shoe back on. He's got a sprained left big toe. It doesn't end there. John Abadi, the linebacker, he sprained 2 fingers in his left hand. So, Mike, between his nose and his fingers, he's gone through 3 rolls of tape tonight.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
And Matt Robinson, who we saw hurt in the first half, has a broken patella, we find out. So, a series of injuries in the finale for Wake. Robinson throwing the wheel route to Terashinsky, and John couldn't bring it in.
They like Terashinsky a lot. He's only a sophomore. You talked about his brother playing for Georgia, and you saw what he did when he got his start. I mean, he struggled a little bit and made a great athletic catch on the throwback for the touchdown. His dad played for Georgia, strength coach, video coach, and his grandfather played for the Washington Redskins and was an unbelievable player. So, I mean, there's some pretty good quality there in that family.
Sam Swank made one from 52, his career best. This one from 42. Missed it to the right. So Miami's defense, which once again didn't give up a point in the third quarter. 7 points allowed in the third quarter in 9 games. Still pitches the shutout. We'll see if Wright gets one more series after this.
You, baby! It's all about it!
Well, it's certainly not about your hair, sir. 47-17. 2,500 Miami fans, thank goodness, made the trip down here to Winston-Salem. And they have enjoyed their visit. Andrew Johnson is the running back. He has terrific speed. They love this kid. Coming back from an anterior cruciate ligament tear that happened in preparation for the Peach Bowl back some 10.5 months ago.
It's a big old Rashad Butler get out in front of the play and start running. Big old guy, 6'5", 290 pounds. It's all about it, baby. All about the U.
These Canes fans all fired up. That guy's got Eric Winston's number on.
You better believe they're still thinking national championship.
They need some help, but they are putting themselves in position. Winston, 74, that big left tackle, the senior out of Midland, Texas, Lee High School. Former tight end. They've moved to offensive line. The rest of the first team offense, McMeans, Wolfschlager, Tella, and Butler still out there blocking for Johnson out of Pittsburgh.
It's a great offensive scheme. You know, we talked a great deal this week to Dan Werner, the offensive coordinator, and Larry Coker. We talked to him as you watch this play again about how this offense evolved. And Larry Coker, obviously, who was one of the offensive coordinators here under Butch Davis. And Butch won it what the Dallas Cowboys had, where it was run, pass, balance, very multiple. And so Larry brought this thing in 10 years ago. And as it evolved, he got the balance that he wanted. You know, he had been at Oklahoma and Ohio State, kind of integrated all in there. And then when Dan Werner came in as the offensive coordinator, they just kept changing it, got some unbalanced line in there.
With a bunch formation to the left, Khalil Jones stopped running as he ran into the Wake Forest defensive back. Kyle Wright wanted pass interference. Instead, it's an incompletion. And Wright, who's tied a Miami record with 5 touchdown passes here today, is off to the sideline, and we're off to John for an update.
Mike, the singular All-America Player of the Week update. Vince Young would be a very good candidate. 29 yards to David Thomas here, part of 281 yards and 4 touchdowns, the 4 TDs, a career high. Text the word vote to 87654 now on your singular phone for your ballot and a chance to win a trip to the national championship. Mike.
They're leading by 45. Miami's lead is 30. Willie Idolette, knee comes to the ground, so he is down back at the 7. 57-yard punt by Monroe. That is his longest of the season. Moon over Winston-Salem, not Miami. College football on ABC. Brought to you by Nissan, who invites you to ship the way you move through the world. Home Depot, you can do it, we can help. And Taco Bell, think outside the bun. The view outside Grove Stadium here in Winston-Salem.
Beautiful part of the country. This is a gorgeous campus that they have at Wake Forest.
Did you play in here?
Yes, one time. They played up Burke Stadium twice. Once down here.
Stadium opening back in 1968, just a mile away from the Wake Forest campus.
And did I say tonight that I love Brian Piccolo?
We get to mention Piccolo, who was passed on the all-time or single-season rushing list with Barkley's performance.
He'll always be one of my favorites.
One of the great movies of all time.
Well, one of the great true stories of all time.
Yeah.
How he and Gale Sayers bonded, and the tragic death of Brian Piccolo. What a great career he had here at Wake Forest.
There is Barkley, who's unfortunately fumbled a couple of times here on senior night, but did go over 100 yards for the game. 106 yards, as a matter of fact.
Time now for the Pacific Life game summary. And let's go ahead and let's start with Miami and stay with Miami and talk about Kyle Wright, because he has been fantastic in the pass to Sonoris Rice. 64 yards to Senaro Moss, and then of course he had Ryan Moore for a 15-yard touchdown reception to make it 34-17. Lance Leggett, how about the way he just broke away on one-on-one coverage, 41-17, and then he hit his tight end Greg Olson, and it's 47-17 with under 12 minutes to play. But a terrific night by the sophomore Kyle Wright, who did a great job. He only came into the game with 1 touchdown pass. Oh, is that correct? No, 11 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions, and then the big night tonight.
Kyle's heading back toward the locker room. I believe his night is done. You see that 5 touchdown passes tying the school record. Some of the best names in the Miami quarterback legacy on that list, including Bernie Kosar.
Well, the one thing they want him to do is they love the 16 touchdown passes he's now thrown, but they want to alleviate the 9 interceptions that he had coming into this ball game.
Speaking of coming into the game, that'll be Kirby Freeman next. Kosar, Steve Walsh, Ken Dorsey, Brock Berlin are the other 4 on the list, now joined by Kyle Wright. 5 touchdown passes in a game. Randolph throws out of his own end zone, incomplete. 4th down, 11:19 to go. D'Angelo Bryant was the intended receiver. Corey played a little bit of wide receiver this year for Wake Forest. He's a senior who runs this option-based offense. Open 7 for 7, but one of his last 9. Here's Plockemeyer. See if he can add to that career average with one of his last punts in college.
Pretty interesting that Tuesday down in Miami they had 51 NFL scouts. Thursday night here at Wake Forest they had 2.
A lot of them looking at the punter, Plockemeyer.
Right.
Has the whole field to kick. Rashawn Jones is back deep to receive. Last punt, 64 yards. Fair catch signaled. Punt is muffed. And Miami recovers back at its own 38-yard line. So without Devin Hester, a couple of guys getting a chance to catch punts. Jones might not get many more chances after that one. That punt was 45. The Canes lead by 30. Probably see Kirby Freeman, the backup quarterback, coming in right after this. Okay, new quarterback in. Out of Texas, Brownwood High School, Kirby Freeman. He's played in most of the games this year. Miami's had such big leads. After that Florida State game, he's gotten his opportunities. Andrew Johnson takes it out to the 42-yard line.
Andrew Johnson's one of those kids, they think he might be the most talented of the bunch. Last year he had that knee injury, had some knee surgery, came back this year, but he's the guy they think really might be the best back that they have right now. And I know I don't want to take away from Charlie Jones because of what he's done the last 2 weeks. Got his first career start here, but Andrew Johnson is spectacular.
Jones ran for 90 yards, those of you just tuning in. First game replacing Tyrone Moss. All the starters are out, including Kyle Wright, the quarterback, who, as we mentioned, tied a Miami record with 5 touchdown passes. Another run by Johnson. Kyle Wright, as we wrap up his night, the 5 touchdowns. The next one in line in that long legacy of Miami quarterbacks.
It's definitely a great feeling knowing that there have been those type of guys come through here. You know, it's something that, you know, that people look at. You know, you're going to be measured by that, by the guys who have been here previously. So to even be mentioned with, you know, the likes of, you know, Bernie Kosar, Vinny Testaverde, Steve Walsh, those types of names, you know, it's really, for me, an honor right now. You know, I'm just, hopefully by how I play and you know, the status of us winning games, hopefully be put on the, you know, the end of that list someday.
Hey, hold on, Kyle. How do you not mention Jim Kelly, a Hall of Famer?
Pass by Freeman. For Khalil Jones is incomplete. Yeah, Jim Kelly started the whole thing back in the earlier part of the 80s. And, of course, Gino Torretta, Craig Erickson in there as well, Brock Berlin. Kenny Dorsey didn't have as many of the numbers, but such a fabulous, fabulous leader and was a terrific quarterback in his own right.
And Dorsey won a national championship in the last Rose Bowl.
Absolutely. You go all the way back in Miami quarterback history, and George Myra was one of the legends of Miami football. Larry Coker is taking the baton and continuing this Miami tradition of success.
I'll tell you what I don't understand, partner, how Larry Coker could take heat down on the talk shows and from the fans down in Miami. He's only 50-7, about to go 51-7.
Screen set up. Charlie Jones back in, and Jones is brought down after he gets back to the line of scrimmage. Just a gain of a yard or so. Watch those scores go by. There's Larry, 51 career wins, 5th most in Miami history. It was a big win for Larry. I talked to him on the field about it before the game. A really big win, the victory over Virginia Tech.
Oh, there's no question about that, but he started his career as head coach. He won his first 24 games. Then he lost to Ohio State double overtime in the national championship game. And since then, he's gone 27-6. I mean, how do you knock that?
You know, a lot of people question that call of pass interference the end of the Ohio State game.
Or, you're right, it would have been 2 national championships in a row.
Exactly. Punt down there at the 2. So you see the scores going by. Texas, SC, and Miami, the teams near the top, are in control. Alabama in a very tight one, but most of the top 5 going to cruise on into mid-November. Here is our IBM Star Watch for today. It is the Miami quarterback, Kyle Wright, putting up these numbers, including equaling a Miami school record with 5 touchdown passes.
Pretty impressive, huh?
No picks, all in that stretch there of about 10 minutes. Miami blowing the doors open. New quarterback in, Corey Randolph is on the bench, so Ben Mauck has come in for Wake Forest as the sophomore from Ohio takes over. He started part of this season, and there you see Ben's numbers.
Like you talk about Kyle Wright as you look at Mauck, but you talk about Kyle Wright being the IBM Star Watch and showed his numbers. And to me, some of his best passes today were incompletions. And people laugh when I say that, but what I'm saying is he did not throw into coverage, did not throw bad passes. If guys were covered or he was ready to take a sack, he threw it away. Only one time was it even questioned if the ball got past the line of scrimmage, which it did, but he threw some great incompletions today.
Chris Barkley is back in to the final carries of a terrific career. He gets back to the original line of scrimmage there. Ben Mauck, the quarterback, led this team to victories over North Carolina State by 8, and then they beat Duke 44-6. Strained his back lifting weights before the Georgia Tech game. So he missed a good part of this week. Really weren't sure if we were going to see him in case a backup quarterback was needed. But Ben has come in. This guy had some phenomenal numbers, as Barkley does as well. We'll see what he's done over his career. The Wake Forest school record, over 4,000 with his performance tonight. Chris Davis taken out of bounds at the 10.
Just short of the first, but you talk about Mauck. You know, they moved Randolph out to wide receiver. Mauck was a quarterback. He led Wake this year to wins over NC State, Duke, and went 24-39 in those games, almost 300 yards.
Really impressive and a very nice young man, too. Enjoyed visiting with him yesterday. So that is 10 consecutive possessions without a point. And another punt from Plaquemine. Oh, this one gets partially blocked. And will roll out to the 42-yard line. It's just what Miami can do, because this is fine a punter as you have in the country. But James Bryant busted in there and got a piece of Plaquemine's kick.
Interesting punt formation, really wide splits on the line of scrimmage. And guys are coming with a lot of heat straight up.
And a really good play by Bryant to dive around and try to get to Plaquemine, and then
here it is again. See if he actually gets a hand on the ball. Looks like he just kind of pulled the foot.
It's like he got enough of Plaquemine's leg to restrict him from following through.
Absolutely. It's like one of those golf shots you have when you're in trouble and you can't get your club back all the way.
Yeah. Very familiar with being in trouble on the golf course. Well, Wake Forest does well on offense, but I'd like to see Plaquemine punt it one more time. That's not the way his career as a punter in college should end. Deron Thomas is tackled by Dominic Anderson, a strong safety. 7:09 to go. Can we come back to the point you were making, Timmy, about, I'm sorry, that was Riley Swanson. The point you were making about Larry Coker and his success. Think about the Miami coaches. Howard Schnellenberger put the program on the map, took a chance, really was out there and had success. Jimmy Johnson, so flamboyant, recruited South Florida, put a fence around Broward and Dade County and kept all that talent at home. And then Dennis Erickson came in to win 2 national titles. As Freeman's throw is deflected in the air, and it is intercepted. That is Dominic Anderson. I was one play ahead. I was clairvoyant on seeing Anderson come up with the play.
That's my partner. Don't back off. Step up to the plate. Take credit.
It's not. Here's a senior from Hollywood, Florida, playing his final game of his career, and he intercepts the Canes here.
All set up. The ball was tipped. Steps up, throws. There's the tip right there. Actually, it's off the intended receiver. Great tip drill. And Bryant gets off his hands is what I'm trying to say. I'm with you, partner.
He almost got to the punt earlier.
Bryant's got to make that catch is what I should have said.
You should have blocked the kick. You should have caught the ball. So Wake's going to take over. And Ben Maul comes back on the field.
Focus.
That pass almost intercepted as well. Look at the scores going by, and time permitting, we have the Thrifty Car Rental Post-Game Show with John, Craig, and Aaron. They'll have scores and highlights for you. Boy, Kentucky beat Vandy. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see
Kentucky's scoring a lot of points here. Nebraska sneaking by. What has happened to Kansas State? They have fallen completely off the map this year. That thing was going so well. Kansas State falling to 4-4, 1-4 in the Big 12. Wow. Ben Malk with that bad back, running, and does a nice job. Takes it across midfield and gets the first down. Okay.
I was starting to focus on what you were talking about with Larry Coker.
Me too.
People forget, here he's only in his 5th season, and you mentioned some of the luminaries that came before him, and I say luminaries because of the program they built. And I can remember before those guys got there in the 70s when Miami really was terrible.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was lucky to get 15,000 people in the Orange Bowl. And you had players like Chuck Foreman and people like that playing down there, but they weren't winning. And then you have those coaches that you mentioned come in and turn it around. Here's Larry Coker in his 5th year, and he won his first 24 games. As you said, really was one call away from 2 straight national championships. And he continues to win. He continues to do great things. He's back in the hunt this year, and people still give him heat. And I think that's wrong.
Here's Larry talking about sustaining this success.
The biggest thing about the University of Miami is the great tradition here and the great expectations we have, and also the great tradition of the former players that come back and motivate coaches, motivate players that are huge fans that we have. And you know, just the fact we've won 5 national championships in the last 22 years. We've played for 5 additional championships. And high expectations, but again, we're able to attract tremendous football players, tremendous people here, so we should have high expectations.
And he does, too. And Timmy, I think the biggest difference, those other guys we talked about, Schnellenberger, Jimmy Johnson, Dennis Erickson, they all had a very outgoing, even Butch Davis, an outgoing personality. Their personality was the program's personality in many ways. And they were flamboyant. Larry Coker is such a nice guy. He's level. He doesn't go up and down. He's never out there in front of the team. He's kind of like your favorite uncle.
Well, he is a grandfather.
He is. Here's the catch complete for Davis. Takes it out of bounds to the 33. Susie wants to add. Suze, go ahead.
Well, you know, I spoke to Marcus Maxey about what it means to be a U player, and he said it's kind of like being a Marine, the few, the proud, the chosen. He said, you know, you either love us or you love to hate us, and you hate us because you can't be one of us. And then he added that it was a family member, families that come together at the U. Once you're a member of the U, you can never be alone ever again. Ed Reed added, that's why the U is so special. When you're a family member, you want to go back every year and invest in the future, Mike. And that's just what Ed Reed does.
Ed Reed, the former great defensive back, now with the Baltimore Ravens. He played for Coker. That pass caught and taken out of bounds is the receiver, Willie Idolette, who's been on punt returns as well. And Larry Coker has continued that tradition of embracing those former players who come back and work out. We've seen the running back, the freshman Johnson, here in the 4th quarter. He was told a lot by Edgerrin James, who comes back to Miami to train, about how the mental part of coming back from a knee injury is just as important as the physical rehab. So that tie that binds those old players that Al Michaels was telling us about, who introduced themselves as Miami Hurricanes from the U, that's one of the essentials to success. Continuing, Barclay runs it to the 23. And Timmy, these guys are much better students and citizens. Miami got a reputation for having a lot of bad guys who got in a lot of trouble. The program has turned around, and Larry has brought the academics up, the need to play with class, less taunting and different things like that. And you see a Miami team that carries itself a lot better now.
And with all that said, and you're absolutely 100% correct, they still have the aspiration, number 1, to be a national champion, number 2, to play at the next level in the league, which so many of them can. And when they see guys like Clinton Portis, and they see guys like Jeremy Shockey, and they see guys like Sean Taylor and the stuff he's doing as a young player at safety, and they know that they can get there as well because they came through the same program and they're doing the exact same things that they're doing now every day.
Paul D., the athletic director, saw him last night here in Winston-Salem with a great athletic program. Ron Frazier has built the baseball program to annual success. The 2+ decades of maintaining this success that Schnellenberger started in the early 80s. Basketball is going in the right direction, new on-campus facility. So Things are good in Coral Gables.
Baseball program's sick.
Oh,
I mean, that's always been phenomenal. And Coach Frazier, you know, that goes back even further. Now they've had probably unprecedented success compared to anybody.
Inside of 5 minutes remaining in the game, Mock throws a punt that is incomplete. It was hanging up there for anybody to get, and Idolette couldn't pull it down. 2nd and 10 coming up.
Willie Idolette's one of those guys, had such high hopes for, and he's been banged up, and he's had some injuries, but he's an extremely talented player, return guy, receiver. Almost had this for a touchdown. Look, he had it here, and then just before he hits the ground, it's knocked loose. So many times tonight they've thrown into double coverage, though, with the corner and the safety helping over top.
2nd and 10 from the 43. Or the 23, I beg your pardon, with 4:43 to go. Mock is flushed and throws it out of bounds. Wake Forest athletic program. Of course, we talked about Tim Duncan earlier and the success. One of the great men's golf teams. So many players, including the great Arnold Palmer, Curtis Strange, Jay Haas, Scott Hoke, Billy Andrade. So many good golfers in Wake Forest. If you put together an alumni team from every school that plays golf, as we have a Miami player shaken up,
I'm taking the Demon Deacons.
Wake Forest would be right up there among the best in the country, without question.
A lot of those guys from out in Texas will tell you that their programs are pretty strong too, but I will tell you something. You can't find as many Hall of Famers in one place as you do here.
UT, Texas at Austin has a great golf program over the years. North Carolina, very good as well. But, Wake's football team trying to get to a more consistent spot, and these 10 seniors, Barclay and Randolph, who will be leaving here tonight, have done their part to try to add and leave a legacy on this program.
Jim Caldwell was here, and he had some of these recruits, and so when Jim Grobe came in, he was faithful to those guys. He let them keep their scholarships, obviously the ones that were recruited midway through the recruiting season just before Jim Grobe came in. He added to that. And so, you know, when you look at it for a coach when he comes in, because of the recruiting, some of the kids that were recruited by the coach that preceded them, and then your first year or two until you sell yourself, you know, to those prospects that are sitting out there as sophomores and juniors, it takes a good 3 or 4 years to build what he's trying to build.
Mock scrambles. He's in for Randolph. I asked Randolph yesterday about the legacy this senior class of 10 is going to leave here in Winston-Salem.
Our legacy is that we represent the change that Coach Grove has tried to instill at Wake Forest in terms of good athletes and good students bringing in. And he's a guy who likes to recruit guys with good character. And we try to instill that on our team, and I think that's helped move the program in a positive direction.
It is. It's a sea change. Jim Caldwell did a nice job. It's restarting. Mock, 4th down, flushed, sack. Back at the 45-yard line. Terez McCray comes in. He's a kid who is a great story. The Miami players are so excited for him. Loss of 19. 6 months ago, McCray tore the anterior cruciate ligament in his left knee. They thought he'd be out all year. Showed up a couple of weeks ago, cleared and ready to practice. Dr. John Uribe, who does so many of the surgeries on the Miami players, did a great job getting him ready to go. Saw his first action and got a sack against, or first action, I should say, against Virginia Tech. And the sophomore from Pompano Beach gets his first sack of the year here.
Mike, I still think this team is under the radar. I mean, they lose that game, really had a chance there at the end. It was a one bad snap away or one bad drop in the field goal attempt to Florida State. But Miami has gone unbeaten since that opener, and they're still very much in the hunt. And so what Larry Coker gets to tell them is that, hey, all your goals are still attainable. And so he has that carrot out in front of him that, you know, one of those two top teams stumble, and we're in the thick of this thing.
Did you mention the Florida State game?
Florida State game?
It just so happens that handy in the truck is the video appropriate to that game on Labor Day night on ABC. Started out with an early touchdown run from Coleman. That was the only big touchdown scored by Florida State. Wright came back to Ryan Moore. 10-7, but here's the key one. 2.5 left. And John Rochford, who was the snapper, didn't make the best snap in the world, but it was one that Brian Monroe should have handled and put down. So a would-be 28-yard field goal attempt never got off in the 4th quarter. The Noles won 10-7. And on the run, Deron Thomas takes it inside the 30 into the 27-yard line. If not for that snap, if they make the field goal, go to overtime, find a way to win, and Miami's right there with the other undefeateds in the middle of the conversation for who gets to the Rose Bowl.
And he's still saying they have a shot at the Rose Bowl.
So the scores go by. Iowa becoming bowl eligible, beating Wisconsin. Barry Alvarez's last game in Madison in a driving rainstorm, a 20-10 win for the Hawkeyes over the Badgers. Michigan wins. They play Ohio State next week, 1 Eastern on ABC. You see that carry there for Thomas. Virginia on top here in the league, 27-17. So Georgia Tech and Florida State, a couple of the teams that are ranked in this league are probably going to fall out of the poll. And this ACC new 12-team Atlantic and Coastal setup, Timmy, kind of a bunch of banging heads and nobody left standing up at the top.
No question about it. And as you said, all this could eventually hurt to some degree the Hurricanes of Miami. But you know what? I'm going to tell you something. USC still has UCLA, rivalry game. You've got Texas still has Texas A&M, and they are really struggling, but a rivalry game, and you know how those things go. And then Auburn, Alabama. So, I mean, Miami's sitting back, and they're looking at what's up above them, and they're believing, hey, we still have a chance.
Thomas with the carry as Miami runs down the clock on this drive with Kirby Freeman, the quarterback.
I submit to you that if the Pac-10 had instant replay, UCLA beat USC last year because Bush was not down when he fumbled that ball. When UCLA was leading and would have won the game. But they couldn't replay it, couldn't go back and overturn the call.
That's right. Replay now, of course. USC is going to get a game from Fresno State. And not that Fresno State's going to win the game, but they will be unintimidated and physical as Freeman throws incomplete.
Well, you know how much I love Fresno State. Yeah. That is a football team, and they are extremely talented.
You were telling me on the phone when I was out there and saw them in person Thursday night. They are legit. Let's check the knee. Seconds left. Wake Forest going to finish here 4-7 for the second straight year, but a couple more conference wins. They were 1-7 in the ACC last year. They will finish 3-5 in the Atlantic Division this year.
Give Wake Forest a lot of credit. They came out, they were ready to play, led most of the first half. But Jim Grobe talks about building tradition here. And when you think about the all-time, we talked about Brian Piccolo, famous because of his tragic end, obviously, in the movie, but was a terrific player
here.
Good
career, you're
but,
right.
But who do you think would probably be the most famous football player ever at Wake Forest?
More famous than
Norm
Piccolo?
Snead, perhaps?
Yeah. From a football
Snead.
standpoint, yeah. Okay.
And Jim Grobe, see, he doesn't have a lot to build on, so he's trying to build, wants to build a tradition that people can say, hey, I remember him, he played for Wake Forest.
One of the first seasons to come to an end in the country happening right here with Wake wrapping up their season. Caught by Chris Davis out to the 36-yard line. So what's Miami going to give up here? A bunch of yards, huh? Like 345, something in that neighborhood, which is much, much more than they've given up the last few games. But no points here in the second half. 17 total, and the stats might change a little bit, but this is still as tough a defense as you'll face in the country. Kyle Wright's emerging, 5 touchdown passes, tied a school record. And they get Georgia Tech and Virginia at home, and then likely will play, Florida State in the championship game. Incomplete, intended for Kenneth Moore. Randy Phillips there to break it up. A lot of the Wake Forest guys with a nice word for Barclay as he leaves Winston-Salem, the all-time leading Wake Forest rusher.
I remember the last day, your last game, you're done with your college career. It's extremely emotional, and I can empathize right now with Barclay.
And Corey Randolph. I asked him yesterday as we were all sitting there chatting if he's thought about pulling the black and gold off one last time. It'll happen today. And he said, no, not yet. Not an emotional guy. I haven't thought about it, but certainly your thoughts of the 4 or 5 years, the time and effort, pain and joy you put into the program. And for these players, it was very well stated in the Winston-Salem Journal today. Their legacy might come if the next group behind them wins a few games. If they start to get to 7 wins, people look back and say, remember the Barclay and Randolph teams? They brought us something special and gave Wake Forest a foundation to grow from. This is 3rd and 10. And Mock scrambling will pick up the first down at the 47-yard line.
You know what else we have to say, Mike? I mean, Wake Forest gets it. you come here, they take care of you, they give you all the information you want, they give you meeting rooms, the coaches give you plenty of time, the players give you plenty of time. They understand that they need that national recognition, and they work hard for it.
Yeah, Jim Grobe really out front and leading a very first-class program, trying to do it the right way. Throwback is caught by Moore. He's down at the 38-yard line, close to the first down. Remind you, our executive producer, ABC Sports, Mike Pearl, senior producer, ABC Sports, Bob Toms, coordinating producer, college football, Bob Goodrich, Chris Pfeiffer and Jeff Wynn, produce and direct, Frank Madros, Chris Damiani, Chris Watt, Brian Billy, Brian Simmelcare worked with us in the truck, Cindy Kelly, Roger Williams, production and technical managers, Rod Aldred on computer stats, Marty Aronoff, Joe Gowan, Chelsea Tubb keep us in line in the booth, Dan Crespo, our score bug operator. We thank everyone.
A winning team.
Absolutely. And we have one snap remaining. Chevrolet players of the game, Kyle Wright and Chris Barclay going out with 105 yards in his final game over 4,000. In recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet makes a $1,000 contribution to each university's General Scholarship Fund. Final play of the Wake Forest season. It is Mock throwing deep for Idolette. It is intercepted, and that will do it. Miami lost to Florida State. They've won all the games in between. Here's Susie with the 5-touchdown man of the day, Kyle Wright.
Indeed, Mike, thanks very much. You tied a school record tonight, 5 touchdowns, 5 touchdown passes completed. You talked earlier about what it means to join this vaunted list of Miami quarterbacks. What does that record mean to you tonight?
Well, I mean, I didn't come out today thinking about a record. You know, I think I got to give a lot of credit to the O-line and wide receivers. I mean, they had a couple balls where I just got it to them, and they went and made plays, you know, a couple long touchdown runs. So, you know, those guys played a hell of a game.
You look ahead to the rest of the season, 2 more games standing in your way. So what does this mean for your team in terms of winning out for this season?
You know, I think it's a positive step for us. You know, we wanted to come out and kind of make a statement in this game. You know, people were talking about maybe a fallout for us after last week, but, you know, we didn't want to come out here and let that happen. So, you know, a little early we didn't play as well, but we came out in the second half and kind of, you know, just we were too much for him.
Kyle, congratulations.
Thank you.
Mike?
Susie was looking that way, but 33 unanswered points in an 11-minute stretch over the second and third. Miami forces 6 turnovers, gets 515 yards, and wins 47-17. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Search ABC Sports. Tomorrow night, Browns, Steelers, ESPN. Monday night, Cowboys, Eagles. Our final, Miami wins by 30 with Susie Schuster, Tim Brandt, and the women and men of our ABC Sports college football team. Mike Tirico saying so long from Winston-Salem.